Gonna set the world on fire. I just want to start a flame in your heart. Yes, yes, yes. It's Raphael Dawkins with the Combat Radio. And you may be wondering why I opted to start with a track from the, when was that, from the 60s? No, the 40s, sorry. Yeah, probably the 40s. Probably the 40s, probably the Ink Spots. You may be wondering why I opted to start a boxing show with an old-time song. Well, first of all, before I get into the show and its before I get into the show and its contents, you know how we start this thing. Let's make this thing official. You should be hearing the music any time now. Okay. You want some visuals? Am I camera ready? Am I camera ready? Let's give it a try. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. I'm still waiting for a notification. The notification that we are live on my pad here. I haven't got it yet. It's Raphael Dawkins. It's the Combat Radio, and it is Boxing Talk. Boxing Talk with Raphie. Let me do a sound check. Let's give it a try. Yes. Okay, I'm good. Can you hear the music? The music. Okay. Yes. 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 It's Boxing Talk with Raphie. What is this? Which episode is this? I think we're on 67. Boxing Talk with Raphie 67. I still haven't got the notification yet. Come on, YouTube. What's going on? What's going on? Let me lower the volume on this before I tell you what the menu is for tonight. What's going on? Where is my notification? Where is my notification of the show? My channel. Oh, there it is. Okay. Okay. So it's Boxing Talk with Raphie, episode 67. And got an interesting lineup of topics. What we're going to go with. We're talking about tonight, we're looking at the countdown. We're doing the countdown for Wilder versus Ortiz. We're doing a countdown for Joshua versus Ruiz. And more. But first of all, is this how we can? But first of all, music is on. Excellente. But first of all, we're going into the rather controversial issue of, or that is, where is he? Barbershop Conversations. And his latest rant. It's a big one. It's a biggie. It's a big rant. And he's talking about Al Heyman. Boom, Al Heyman and his operation, Al Heyman's operation. And press passes. Why the LDBC are being denied press passes. And Al Heyman. Al Heyman uses a lady. I'm just looking for her name. Okay, now we're live. Around 10 minutes later, now I get the notification. I'm just looking for this lady's name, Kelly Swanson. Barbershop Conversation is going in on a lady by the name of Kelly Swanson. I think she's in charge of the press operations, press movements, press officer. Is she the PBC's press officer? Yeah, she's the PBC press officer. And Barbershop Conversations. That's a good question. That's a good question. Okay, but first things first, because that is a hot topic. And normally I leave the hottest topics till later, but I've got other hot topics for later. I just thought we'd just kick it off with the matter of the moment, the hot talking point matter, or one of them of at the moment. Okay, but first things first, let me do the roll call. We've got John Dealey in the building. It's cold tonight. Is the whole machine needing a jump start? Oh, gosh. Yeah, smash that like button, folks, on your entry. Smash on entry. We got Lisa Bayliss in the building. Raphie the crooner. Yeah, I must confess, I do like a good little croon. Do like a good croon. Okay, you can hear the music. The music is in effect. I went with the drums tonight. Lisa Bailey's talking about the ink spots. Yes, very old school. I'm pretty sure they're from the 40s era. I'm pretty sure the ink spots are from the 40s era. I'm not going to research that now. Anybody wants to research it can let me know. I'm in the middle of the show. Okay, so, as far as the ink spots are concerned, how do I know the ink spots? Well, one of my old bosses, my first job. Well, it wasn't my first job. I always had some kind of job, even as a kid, newspaper, round, lawn mowing. You know what I'm saying? Always doing something. But one of my first bosses, he had a cassette tape, for those of you who can remember cassette tapes. And it had, I think it was 4 rather well-dressed gentlemen on it, in the picture. And on the top, it said the ink spots. That's how I got to know the ink spots. But everybody knows at least 1 or 2 ink spots tunes. Everybody knows at least 1 or 2. They've been quite popular over the years in adverts. It's the crooning style. So that was my introduction to the ink spots, and I actually have a CD. A couple of years back, I bought a CD, Ink Spots Greatest Hits. I should play it more often. Yeah, I love a croon. Love a little bit of a croon. Okay. Sub Skrilla in the building. John Dealey asks, is there anything Has there been anything on VADA's timeline confirming tests have been passed by Ortiz and Wilder? I haven't heard one single word about testing for Wilder Ortiz fight. Not one damn word. We do know, however, that was it Al Heyman? I believe it was Al Heyman who contacted, was it VADA, and said, listen, we don't want one word release. We don't want you releasing stuff to the press of any failed tests. We do know that. Not much we do know. But that's an interesting one. Wilder Ortiz. Testing. Dope testing. Okay. I can't believe Al Heyman would do the LDBC like that. We need some LDBC representatives in the building. That was one of my first videos. Skrilla talks about Ward broke it down best when he put it on Fred to his face and said he's being an opportunist. Yeah, we're going to have to talk about Fred. We're starting the show off with Fred. That was one of my first videos. And incidentally, I've been looking through, we have the analytics. If you have a YouTube channel, you get analytics. And you look through the analytics. And it tells you it gives you all kind of information. Lots and lots and lots of information, as analytics does. That's what analytics do. And in the last week or so, I think I've lessened my YouTube schedule because my work schedule is pretty tough, pretty rough right about now. Coming up to Christmas, people want weight loss programs, etc. Everybody wants to look good at the Christmas party. Everybody cuts it fine. I'm sure we're going to have some people coming up like a week before the Christmas party saying, I want to lose 2 stone in a week. 2 stone over here. That's what? That's 28 pounds over there. Wherever you use pounds, we use stone. So, this kind of period is very, very busy. So my YouTube schedule had to cut that back a little bit over the last week or so. And we're talking about analytics. And interestingly enough, I noticed my analytics, it didn't really change that much. People are just coming. People are still coming. Even, I think for a week, I didn't make a video, or 5 days, I didn't make a video. Did 2 live shows, maybe a couple of videos. So it was a light in comparison to my normal schedule. But bizarrely enough, I look at the analytics, it tells me how many people are visiting the channel on an hourly basis, and people were just coming as normal, still coming. They're just liking they're liking videos. They're doing a search for a video, not necessarily on this channel, maybe this channel, maybe not. And they're still watching videos. May not be the latest video, but they're still watching videos of interest. And Fred came up. One of my first videos was on Fred, Barbershop conversations. And interestingly enough, I look at the analytics and boom, people are being researching Fred. That's what it tells me. People are looking for material on Fred, Mr. Barbershop conversations himself. And what started this? Firstly, let me continue. Red Glove, the militant, is in the building. Red Glove militant is in the building. What we're talking about here, what we're looking at here, we're looking at Skrilla makes a point race baiting for clicks and acting like he and the PBC are a civil rights movement. Boom, boom, boom. I think I'm going to have to send out some links right now. Or the link. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. Where are we? Talking about the race baiting for clicks and acting like he and the PBC are a civil rights movement. Yeah, I have to agree with that statement. That's why we're starting off with Fred. Starting off with Fred. T Street controversy broke down Fred Hawthorne to the bone on the grizzle. He's got too much stuff on Fred going way back. If you ain't already seen it, I saw one on T Street Conversations where he said he was going to break Shizzle down, and he didn't really break down nothing I didn't already know. So that was kind of disappointing to me. I don't know if he knows more about Fred than me. I really don't know. I had to do a bit of research to do the video. One of my first videos on this channel was about Mr. Barbershop himself. Red Glove Militant says, crybaby conversations has never been a concern to me. People that delusional always get what's coming to them. Damn, that sounds hardcore. Get what's coming to them. It sounds like a 1940s gangster movie. Gangster flick. Damn. Red Glove Militant has got his red glove on. I think he might have taken off the red glove and put taken off the red velvet glove and put the black leather glove on. Damn. Doesn't want to leave no fingerprints. Is Ortiz on the human growth hormone? David Mason in the building. Hello, David. Leighton Evelyn in the building. Yes, 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 Leighton. The Watcher is in the building. Everybody's showing up tonight. Almost everybody. Oh, man. Who we got here? Add to the stream. David Mason looking like a 1940s gangster. James Cagney.
Hello.
James Cagney in the building. What's happening, James? It's not James. It's David. What's happening, David? How you doing?
Hello. Can you hear us, Raphie?
I'm hearing you very, very well, David.
I have finally sussed this after weeks and weeks and weeks.
Hey, trust me. I had been out of the technological loop before I started the channel. Well, previous to that, I had been very technological. It's like, I don't know. I think I'm opposites. I'm either one way or the other. I'm opposites.
I've got my earphones on here, Raphie.
You are
I'm
prepared.
still getting this echo.
It could be that you've got two windows open. It could be that you've got the YouTube window open and the StreamYard window.
I don't know how to fix that, Raphie.
Well, if you click the YouTube, well, it depends on where you want to watch it. You can, it's best to watch it on StreamYards because you're in StreamYards. If you click the X, if you X out YouTube, if you X out the YouTube page, then you'll only be on.
I haven't got a YouTube.
You haven't got nothing open. You haven't got nothing open. It's just the StreamYards. Uh-oh. Okay, David is going to join us back in a second. What we got? What have we got? Okay, so Fred says he will die for his YouTube channel. You can't make that shizzle. Bat-ish crazy in the building. Yeah. So I think I'm gonna get into it now. Okay, so anybody want to jump in? I think I've put the link in. I put the link in twice. Okay, it's gonna be a sensitive subject because we're talking about what Fred was talking about. Fred says the root of this thing is racism. And that's a hot topic, hot button topic. People get triggered from every side of the spectrum. People get triggered on this topic. It's just one of them damn things. But it's got to be done. We're going to have to talk about it. Okay. So it's tricky. But here goes. We're going to have to do it. Right. So not only are we talking about Fred, Barbershop Conversations, who is at loggerheads with this with a white lady. The white lady used to work for Mayweather. She used to work for Mayweather. She was his. We know Leonard. Yeah, Leonard Ellaby. Leonard Ellaby was Mayweather's right-hand man. And Leonard Ellaby, I was watching an interview with him, and a lot of people, including myself, kind of thought Leonard Ellaby was some kind of hanger-on. But no, Leonard Ellaby actually knew. Leonard Ellaby actually knew the seniors. Floyd Mayweather Sr., Floyd Mayweather's uncle, Roger Mayweather, as well. All the Mayweathers. And he was introduced to Floyd as a boy. Floyd was a boy, something like, 10, 11, 12, 13? Yeah. And that's where their association began. So Floyd called Leonard Ellaby uncle. Okay. So that's how it began. So it's not like David Mason is back. So it's not like Ellaby just jumped on a bandwagon. No. He was there from the beginning. He helped build the wagon.
Raphael, I'll tell you what, you say I sound like a 1940s gangster. I think I belong in the 1940s because all this modern technology, it's just way over my head, mate.
Hey, I tell you what,
I'm gonna have to get my son or my daughter to come and sort this out. I just don't know what to do, man.
Well,
I don't know what to do.
Well, I tell you what, my friend, it's just the way it is. It's like technology even passed me by. It's madness. Okay, we lost David Mason again. I don't know. Maybe he's pressing the wrong button. But anyway, hope David jumps back on. Okay, so Leonard Ellaby. That's Leonard Ellaby. Now Kelly Swanson. Is that her name? Kelly Swanson. Sounds like we're going back into the 40s. It is Kelly Swanson. That is her name. Kelly Swanson, how does she come in? Well, she was one of the people that Mayweather in the back room. Mayweather staff. Was she in the back room or front room? She was in the front room. Press officer. Logistics. Getting the shows, the press, getting the press in line, press access, etc. Getting things in line. We have things in line. Okay, so that's Kelly Swanson. And then she switched over, obviously, when Mayweather stopped fighting. Moved over to doing exhibition fights. When Mayweather stopped fighting, she moved up, I guess, on the recommendation of Leonard Ellaby. She moved on up over to PBC, working under Al Heyman. And I guess this is where the grievance lies. This is where the grievance lies. Okay, so Fred, Barbershop Conversations says that they can't get credentials. The LDBC cannot get credentials to go to the shows, the press shows, for free. Okay, and The reason he's offering up is that Kelly Swanson is acting as a blocker. She's blocking the LDBC channels from getting press access. And it's her fault. Where do we begin? Where do we begin with this? Okay, let's start with Al Heyman. Let's start with Al Heyman. Okay. Okay, Al Heyman. So Al Heyman obviously is the head of PBC, Premier Boxing Champions. A little bit of history of Al Heyman. Al Heyman got a $500 million loan. $500 million. That's $500 million. Okay, $500 million loan. And to basically start, fund, run, finance PBC, Premier Boxing Champions. So basically PBC is owned in all by name by the banks, by the fund owners, the, what do you call those guys? Financial speculators who lend money to start-up businesses, plural, and they basically own. They're the majority shareholders. They basically own the company. So Fred is under pressure to make PBC a financially successful concern. As far as general perception is, Fred, the PBC, pretty much squandered that money. Not Fred, Al. Pretty much squandered that money. Instead of taking out TV deals and getting TV contracts where the TV channels would pay Al had a different business model. Al decided he would pay the TV channels for a time slot, banking on getting all that advertising revenue, etc., and killing off the opposition by buying up time slots on certain channels. Okay, so he wasn't getting paid. He was paying out money. So that business plan did not work out because the shows were of low caliber. So it didn't work out. So he lost a lot of money there. And now it's got PBC to the stage where, by all accounts, they are down to the last portion of the $500 million. Hence why you always hear that the PBC is up for sale. Hence why you always hear that the Dana White is going to buy out PBC. Because by all accounts, Al didn't spend the money wisely. Yeah, that's right, folks. We're talking about Fred. That's the opening subject, Barbershop Conversations. He's been making some allegations. That Al Heyman has working for him as his press officer, a racist old white lady. And she's putting a block on the PBC because she is a racist. Okay, so getting back to the root of it. So why we have to, before we talk about race or racism, let's go to the head of the tree, or the root of the tree. The root of all of this is Al Heyman. Al Heyman has been running PBC, the owner of PBC, and running it from its inception. Don't you think that he is comfortable with his press secretary, the old white lady, Kelly Swanson? Don't you think Al is comfortable with her? If Al wasn't comfortable with the old white lady, Kelly Swanson, the press officer for the PBC, do you think she would still be in a job? Do you think she would still be in that role, in that position? If Al wasn't happy with Kelly Swanson, the old white lady, the press officer, don't you think she'd have been moved sideways, if not sacked? If not fired? Don't you think she'd have been moved, a lateral move to one side or the other? I'm sure there are plenty of jobs there, plenty of roles. But the mere fact that Kelly Swanson, the old white lady, who Fred says is a racist, the mere fact that she is in that position and has been for some considerable period of time, if not from the beginning, I put it to you, that is a clear indication that Al Heyman, the head of PBC, is more than happy with Kelly Swanson and the role she plays and how she does it, how she plays it. Therefore, if the PBC have been denied access denied from PBC fighters and press conferences and fights, if they can't get press passes, don't you think Al Heyman is on board with that? Don't you think Al Heyman is on board with that? Don't you think Al Heyman is the architect of that? Clearly, Al Heyman is the architect of the PBC. Let's put it clearly. Let's put this out there clearly. I put it to you, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. I put it to you that Al Heyman is the architect of the operation to rid the LDBC from press conferences and his fights, PBC fights. Now that presents a very interesting conundrum. The PBC have claimed. The PBC have claimed that they are the engine. They are the engine. They are the lubricant. They are the engine oil. They are the lube. They are the lubrication for the propelling forward, for the forward movement, forward motion of fighters fighting under the LDBC umbrella, or the PBC umbrella. The LDBC have self-proclaimed themselves to be the chief shakers and movers, the chief influencers regarding and pertaining PBC fighters moving forward, moving upwards. The likes of the Bronze Bomber, Deontay Wilder. The likes of Errol Spence. The likes of Luis Ortiz. They have proclaimed themselves to be the individuals, the group that has moved those fighters forward, got those fighters press. And to a certain extent, that it is correct. And they have flooded social media, particularly YouTube, with glowing praises of such fighters. I mean, personally, I'm cool with Spence. I like Spence personally. But that's nothing to do with the LDBC. I've been following Spence for a while. Fred was just trying to cash in on civil rights abuses African Americans suffer by turning boxing into a race issue. Yes. They never said Fred still thinks it's the 60s. John Dealey says, I'm not sure things have progressed that much in the U.S. I kind of concur. They never says they have, John. But I know it's still bad out there. It is still bad out there. And yeah, well, I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna have to go in on this race issue. I'm gonna have to go in on it, not just because of what Fred said, but also because of what I heard on a different channel. There was a live show last night and on a different channel, and they were pretty much saying, or one of the guys, or one or two of the guys on the 4-man panel were pretty much saying that racism is just a figment of people's imagination. And I'm going to have to go in on that. I'm going to have to go in on that, unfortunately. So in some respects, it may look as if I'm saying something similar to what Fred is saying. But do not get it twisted. Do not get it twisted. I am not a supporter of Fred. Absolutely not. I think everything that's already been said here, the things that I've highlighted in the comment section, I agree with. Fred is an opportunist. Fred is, to my mind, making certain things into race issues that are not race issues. However, I have to go in on the channel that I was listening to last night. Or was it last night or the night before? Before. There's at least two members of the 4-man panel were implying, if not clearly suggesting, that racism is merely a figment of the imagination. And that, with that, my friends, I have to sternly disagree. I have to sternly disagree. Okay, there's a lot going on in the chat. That's good. Very active chat tonight. Okay, so where do I begin? Okay, Fred says that Kelly Swanson has not employed a black person in her office. What's going on here? Stop that. Has not employed a black person in her office. Let me tell you why that's that is disturbing to me. Let me tell you why that is disturbing to me. And we're going to go around the houses to get there. David Mason says, I wish the kids hadn't grown up and fled the nest. I could really use their help right now. But they both live 30 miles away now. Oh, boy. Well, David, why do you keep dropping off? Why do you keep dropping off? Because you're up and then you drop off. Do you know why you keep dropping off? Is it a button that you press what makes you drop off? Because you seem fine, you're online, everything seems fine, and then you drop off. Or do you cut yourself off? I don't know. But okay, let me tell you why Yeah, let me tell you why that's a problem to me. Wow, that's rough. That's rough. Damn. John Dealey says, I used to have a picture of my daughter up, but pic. Used to have a picture of my daughter up. African Americans accused me of touching black kids. Wow. And being a perv. It didn't even occur to him, that she was my daughter. Damn. That's horrific. That is horrific. That is horrific. Okay, so let me tell you why that's an issue to me. Okay, so I remember Maloney. What's his name? What's his name? Maloney? Something Maloney. Lennox Lewis's ex-manager. Yeah. The guy who turned into had a sex change. Or did he have a sex change or just start wearing a wig and now got some fake boobs? I don't know. I don't think he had the chop. I don't think he had his tackle chopped off. But anyway, him, Maloney, whatever his first name is. Maloney said after Lennox Lewis moved on. I'm getting double and delayed sound. I'm trying to suss it, but with no success. I'm going for a smoke. Frank Maloney, that's the one. Frank Maloney. What? You reckon he had the sex change? He had the tackle chopped off? I don't know about that. Ringside reporter is in the building. There's the link for you, Beeb, if you want to jump on. Talking about the barbershop conversation. We're talking about the race thing. Okay, so Frank Maloney, after he split with Lennox Lewis, he said Lennox was weird. He said Lennox wouldn't want to eat in a restaurant. Frank Maloney, now Kelly. Said Lennox wouldn't want to eat in a restaurant or do business with companies that did not employ any black people. So as a result of that, Frank Maloney termed Lennox Lewis weird. Okay, so now this is where we get into race. First and foremost, let me say that the racism over in the USA is on a different level than it is in the UK. That doesn't mean racism doesn't exist in the UK. Racism exists, I would imagine, in every single country in the land. Racism exists in every single country in the world, I would imagine. But the level it is in the USA is a different level, next level than to the UK. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist in the UK. It exists everywhere. Okay, so Frank Maloney said Lennox Lewis was weird because he didn't like to do business or eat in restaurants or do business in general with any company that did not employ black people. But here's the thing. If Lennox is weird, then that means I'm weird too. That means I must be weird too. I'll tell you why. When I go to the opticians, I look around. I don't see no black folk. I think, well, hold on a second. I'm living in an environment, in a town, in a city, in a urban conurbation with plenty of black people around. There's plenty of black people around. So I'm saying, how is it possible that you could walk through your high street and see black shoppers, but very few in the shops themselves? Phil Walker in the building. Haven't seen you around, Phil. Haven't seen you around in a while. Link is in the chat. So how is that possible? How is that possible? I could live in an urban conurbation, and when I go to the opticians, I don't see no black folk in the opticians. This is in the UK. This is in the UK. Okay. So when I go to the chemist, I don't see no black folk behind the counter. I think that's interesting. When I go to the bank, or if I go to the bank, I mean, there's a black lady who works in my bank. She's very nice. She's very, very nice. She's very, very nice. Phil Walker in the building. Phil, where you been, bro? Where you been?
What's up, brother? I've been doing a lot of working, man. I've been out here working hard, brother. I've been laying low for a little while.
Yeah, man. The money comes first. The cheddar comes first. Gotta get the cheddar in order. I understand that, bro. I understand that. But anyway, listen up and jump in when you feel like it. So, talking about barbershop conversations. For those who have just joined us, we're talking about barbershop conversations. He said that Al Heyman is employing a white lady, and she's blocking the LDBC from getting press passes. My point is, how the hell is he blaming the old white lady when Al Heyman is the head of the business? How is that possible? Why are you blaming the old white lady? Why are you saying it's the old white lady? Is it not blatantly clear that directives come from the top? And if Al Heyman's operation, PBC, Premier Boxing Champions, if they're not giving press passes to the LDBC, is it not blatantly clear that they are distancing themselves from the LDBC? To me, it is very down. We're getting a full panel now. Welcome to Beeb. Beeb, how you doing?
What's going on?
I'm good it's good to have you, Beeb. I felt like you've been giving the channel a cold shoulder, bro. You've been giving the channel a cold shoulder, bro. What's going on? Where is the love?
Yeah, I got a lot of catching up, man.
Yeah, bro. I understand. Everybody's living busy lives out here. I understand. But check it out. Jump in when you want to, guys. It's Rough Boxing Talk with Raphie 67. We got Phil Walker and we have Joe Habib. Okay. So, however, I think it's very clear. Al Heyman is distancing himself from the LDBC. That's why they can't get press passes. Anyway, let me continue. However, in one area, strangely enough, I have to say, I don't know if I share a little bit of concern if what Fred said is true. If what Fred said was that this lady, Kelly Swanson, doesn't employ black folk. Now, I've told you that when I go into my opticians, I don't see no black folk behind the counter working, being employed. When I go into the bank, my bank has a black lady there, yeah. But when I go into a bank and I don't see no black employees, I'm saying, well, this feels strange. If I go shopping to a supermarket and I don't see any black employees, then I say, this feels strange. And my point is this. Every workplace should be a reflection of the populace. The populace. So when you went to Detroit, you would see black folk building cars on the conveyor belt. Yeah, because it's a reflection of the conurbation, its location. When you go into your bank, if you've got black folk on one side of the counter, then you should have black folk on the other side of the counter. What I'm saying is that every area, every industry should be a reflection of the population which it serves. And if it isn't, then to me, something is gravely wrong. Something is gravely erroneous. It's just kind of weird because it sounds like I'm supporting Fred, but I'm not supporting Fred. But there is an element of one thing which Fred said, which kind of made me go, things that make you go, why the hell has Kelly Swanson not got any black employees on her payroll? Why the hell is that? That gets me curious. Every industry should be a reflection of the populace which it serves. There's no reason why there shouldn't be any black folk in the bank. There's no reason why there shouldn't be my optician employs 10 people and not one of them is black. That's very peculiar to me. That's very odd. I don't know if it's odd to the owner. I don't know if it's odd to the manager, but it's odd to me. Okay. Phil Walker. Phil Walker, are you with me, my friend? Can you hear? Can you hear? Or maybe you're not possible. Habib. Habib.
Yes, sir. Yes,
okay.
sir.
Yeah. So it's strange to me. It's strange to me, Beeb. Like it was strange to Lennox Lewis. Frank Maloney said Lennox Lewis was weird because he didn't like to do business with businesses that didn't employ black folk. What's your take on that, Beeb? It's a hot topic. It's a hot potato topic. But Fred brought it up. I have to talk about what Fred said, and can't skirt around it. Can't skirt around it. Beeb.
Well, I can understand where Lennox Lewis is coming from. I mean, if that's it's totally understandable in today's day and age that you would want a diverse group of people working everywhere.
Yeah.
It just shows that everyone gets a shot, regardless of regardless of their color. And if because of how the world is and the way the population is right now, there's just so many different races now, and we're just a big melting pot. So
yeah,
I understand. I can respect what Lennox Lewis is coming from. I mean, he's a black man himself, so he takes pride. Everyone takes pride in who they are and where they come from.
100.
Nothing wrong with that. I can't question it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's weird. I don't know why Frank Maloney would say it was weird, but
I thought it was weird that Frank Maloney thought it was weird.
Yeah. So now what's going on? You're saying is the Barbershop Conversations is not allowed to go to PBC events now?
He can go to PBC events. But a lot of the LDBC, they haven't got press passes. They're being refused press passes by the PBC, Premier Boxing Champions, which is quite ironic because they hold Al Heyman up as some kind of savior, some latter-day savior, and Al Heyman's organization is not giving the PBC press passes. That seems to be the heart of the matter.
How many people from the LDBC go to live events? You don't really see too many of them that go. Like Fred goes to a lot of live events, but he's not really part of the LDBC now. Is he allowed to get credentialed, or is he blocked too?
He's blocked.
Well, let me tell you. Just real quick, I go to a few live events myself here in the States, and I see a lot of those guys at those events. Blue Blood attends.
Oh yeah, that's right. Blue Blood goes.
Yeah, Blue Blood goes. I've seen Fanon at a few events.
Yeah, I didn't know Fanon went.
Yeah. So when those guys have a chance to go, I believe if it's close enough and it's not going to stretch them thin, I think they do try to make a conscious effort to attend. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's an extra incentive if you're allowed to, of course, have a press pass, and I think at the end of the day, man, when you're running an organization and you're in it to make money, somebody such as Al Heyman, I mean, he rubs shoulders with everybody. You understand what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, he probably just doesn't want to be tied to someone that is someone or some particular group. You know, you never know however they classify it. I don't know. That is just so just belligerent in division. You understand what I'm saying? And they're not all like that. So let me set the record straight, right? But you know, at the end of the day, one apple can spoil a whole bunch. Fortunately, that's not the exact case for this very moment. I just think that he's salty because he's one of the guys that they're denying. So whatever.
But they're denying Blue Blood too. Blue Blood can't get a press pass, as far as I'm aware. So
I didn't know about Blue Blood. I just knew about Fred because, you know, of course, he went on a rant and he's whining and crying about it, man. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm sure it's a lot of people that got denied. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
What's the big deal?
Yeah, can you say that again, Phil Walker?
No, I'm saying, you know, at the end of the day, I'm sure it's a bunch of guys that got denied press passes. You got to think about this, man. You know, the press, it's a lot of big YouTube channels out there, right? But at the end of the day, it's nobody controlling these channels. So they're going to be very selective on who they give these press passes to because only so many people can have them. You understand what I'm saying? They're not just like, oh, okay, the media channel here you go. It doesn't work that way. You know, as far as my understanding, let's just say they're allowed to have, you know, 26 press passes. Yeah. They go through and they see the specific people that's going to maximize the optics of the entire event. And that's going to bring light to the event in a positive manner. And at that particular time, maybe they didn't feel that those two particular individuals, Fred, of course, I don't know about Blue Blood, wasn't going to do that. Or it might have been some people that was better suited to have the press pass. So they shouldn't take it too personal.
So what event did they get denied for? The Wilder Ortiz fight?
Yeah, it's the Wilder Ortiz, but other events as well. But I think they've been denied for the Wilder Ortiz also. Well, this has been going on for a while, but it's come to a head now. Fred has brought it to a head, and let it be known that many of the LDBC, they are being denied press passes from the PBC, and that's got to sting. It's got to sting.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
because they're so supportive of the PBC and Al Heyman now they're blaming Kelly Swanson for this.
They're blaming the old white lady by the name of Kelly Swanson.
So look, let me set the record straight on this, right? Kelly Swanson is, you know, she's been in the industry for some time, right? But look, people have to understand that at the end of the day, Al Heyman is in the entertainment business, okay? He can hire whoever the hell he wants at the end of the day. You understand what I'm saying? And he's not going to jeopardize his business because someone doesn't like one particular individual that he's hired. You understand what I'm saying? He's into more than just boxing. You understand what I'm saying? He rubs shoulders with everybody in industry in the States and abroad as well. So you got to understand this man is you know, for in the entertainment business, this man is as good as it gets. Okay. So if he wants to hire Kelly Swanson, she does her job in the manner that she chooses to do her job, then you can't blame her. You can't blame him or her for that at the end of the day. They got to run a business, man. It's a business.
Kelly Swanson wouldn't be in a job. Damn, it must be a hot topic. EJ Boxing is in the building. EJ Boxing, diamonds are forever.
Yeah, we say, what's up, B? What's up, Phil? What's up, man? What's up, Raph? What's up? What's going on, bro?
Yeah, man. Where you been, bro? Where you been? We missed you.
What's up, EJ?
I'm cool, man. Nah, man, I'm just like, boxing and you know what I mean, like just amateur boxing, judging, just been around the scene. I'm just jumping on this topic, yeah. What it is that, and even I experienced it on the hen when I go to Matchroom, is that more or less it's more being marginalized. What it is, they prioritize like tabloids, newspapers, and like let's say what's his name again? Radio Raheem and Fight Hype and Michelle Joy Phelps and others. The others they squeeze out. So what's happening? I don't know if it happened straightly. I think it probably happened after that Joshua situation when the water got sprayed on
Ness.
Joshua. Yeah, Nez, that situation. Because I think Anthony Lever, he's over there for the matching one, but it wasn't matching specifically. He was talking about the PVC, but they prioritize to the guys that they think is most important, and everyone else they kind of marginalize them. And they must have saw the interview with Fred going at Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn doesn't mind it because he's a silver spoon guy. He doesn't like people kissing his ass, so he doesn't mind the banter. But the downfall side of it, Fred, is that people see that they're thinking they want to get embarrassed or harassed or talk to in that way. I don't know about Blue Bud, why they've marginalized him, but that's what I feel like. You know what I mean? They don't see. This is the thing about KSI and Logan Paul. They don't understand. Like people on YouTube, we have a lot of big following. We really do. But when we go out there, they don't see us as professionalized. When I go out there, I don't know if B's been out there because obviously B's with Ringside. Go out there, and when you go to media, they're treating you like, well, boy, yeah, you might be on YouTube in your world, but in this world, you have to kind of work your way up, like, you know what I mean? Like, but numbers talk. The numbers talk. So it's a case of the people who do tabloids, newspapers compared to digital media, who they respect. And that's why I feel like he's disrespected. The situation with him and Kelly Swanson, I wasn't there. But in any case, she's not good. I don't understand why you'd want her sacked. But she's really good at her job. As far as I understand, I saw her at the McGregor and the Mayweather press conference, and I was there. She was on the floor making sure everything was organized, making sure the press knew they were going. Everything was organized, it ran smoothly. I had no problem with what she was doing there. No one else had a problem with that. If you feel like you're not getting looked after, I can understand that. But you in a case of trying to get a sack, and I don't understand what was said between him and her. But at the same time, like I said, I think it comes down to prioritize. You're not as important as you think you are. And that's what it comes down to. That's what I think.
Yes. Beeb. Mr. Habib.
Yes.
Come on in, my friend. Come on in.
Well, the thing is this. EJ makes a great point because there was times when I got credentialed to events and I had to sit. I still had to sit in the nosebleeds because they were going to give Dan Raphael and all those types of outlets. They were going to get the first class seats, and it was funny. One time, Dan Raphael was pissed at Eddie Hearn because Eddie Hearn put him in a seat without like a table, and he's like, "Where am I going to put my laptop?" So he's used to being spoiled. So, and I will say one thing too. Kelly Swanson's really not a big fan of the YouTube channels. Like she's old school. Mm-hmm. She wants to see like the real big media conglomerates. She wants to see like the big websites and stuff like that. And if these guys just have YouTube channels, they don't really write articles. I mean, they do interviews here and there, but when they do interviews, they come off as very biased, and I think that rubs a lot of people the wrong way. Like if you're gonna go to an event, you got to cover the event. You're not supposed to have a dog in the race. Mm-hmm. And they already are putting out the perception that they have several dogs in the race. And right then and there, when you start doing that, that's going to be a negative upon yourself. So that's the one knock they have on them is they wear their heart on their sleeve. And if you're going to be part of the media, you can't do that.
Yes. As being part of the media, one of the things that you learn is you need to understand bias. You need to understand bias. Everyone is biased. Let's start off there. Everyone has a bias. What is bias? Bias is a preference. So if I ask each one of you, what is your favorite fruit? Each one will have a different answer. That's down to bias, preferences. But for media, you have to understand the meaning of bias. You have to understand that everyone has their biases, but you have to try to be in the middle. In the middle. Where are we? There we go. I'm trying to find the middle. There we are. There's the middle. You know what I'm saying? It's shifting in the middle. You have to try and find the neutral position. And then when you find the neutral position, you can lean one way or the other. But you have to at least have some understanding of where the neutral position is. After you found the neutral position, then you can go on to say, well, my bias is as follows. You know, my bias is towards the left, towards the right, or more central. But you have to understand bias. The problem with a lot of those guys who I think have been denied press passes is one, they're relatively small. Kelly Swanson is looking for the big fish, the big players. That's A. And B, the bias is so grave, it's so undeniable that in a sense, these guys kind of shoot themselves in the foot by being what I would say overly biased. Overly biased.
Yeah, you know what, Ralph?
Yeah.
Look, let me tell you, and I'm going to tell you who else. I completely agree with what you're saying. But you know who else had a problem with that is Teddy Atlas. That's why he doesn't work for ESPN anymore.
Talk to me about that.
Because he had some problems with the Pacquiao and Horn fight, and even after the Pacquiao and Horn fight, he had some issues with I don't remember who it was that Lomachenko fought, but ESPN, you know, they told him like, yo, you can't favor these fighters in the way that you're doing. And of course, Teddy Atlas being the guy that he is, he's hard-headed. He just was like, okay, well, screw it. I'm gonna do what I want to do anyway. And ultimately, that's how he kind of got back into training people and stuff like that, because he wanted to get out of the media because he felt as though he couldn't be himself. So it could be a detriment even to the most well-respected and people in the industry. So yeah, I agree with you. Just wanted to just shine some light on that real quick.
Yeah, that's a valuable point. That was a valuable point.
They don't respect them, bro. Like they don't care, because that Fat Dan's biased, and so is Kim, and so is the other guy from the Ring magazine. They biased, but they're in people's pockets and they're protected by Golden Boy. Most of these guys here are protected by people, and that's why they can get away with things. You know what I'm saying? You can look at certain reporters and who they're affiliated with, and that's who they're protecting. That's who they go. Like Hauser, he's an Ali guy, but he kind of sides with maybe Bob Arum or whatever. You know what I mean? And you can see where these guys write for. There's another guy over here called Jeff Powell, and you have Colin Hart. They're Frank Warren boys in England. There's people affiliated with promoters and networks. The problem is that the YouTube community, and because we're not affiliated with no one. You know what I mean? Kugan Cassius is affiliated with Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren, and they play him off backwards and forwards. You know what I'm saying? So you can be as biased as you want. I feel it's like the mob mentality. You're not affiliated. You're not a made man. You know what I'm saying? Because when I go to these places, right, the fighters might know me, but the big wig is like, who's this guy? How comes he knows some? Like when I used to go there, how come he knows some people? Because I talk to the people, the fighters, before I get there. So they kind of like, oh yeah, I talked to you online, and he was like, yo, we can get along. But the big wigs and the security, they're like, yo, we don't know who you are, and they might go funny with me when I first come here. And then it becomes a case of, well, okay, we want bigger media, we want other guys, so we're gonna start pushing you to the side. And I was like, oh, is that how it is? I go, bro, I was big on you. I was doing my thing on YouTube before I even came out here. Yeah, you're lucky I even came out. So I'm like, I'm gonna go back to YouTube and do my interviews online and just keep it moving. I don't need to be there. I like being there, but I'm not gonna be disrespected. And I feel like, me personally, a lot of times I've been there, I feel like I've been disrespected of late. You know what I mean? And I'm like, so I understand what he was talking about, but at the same time, I don't care if he was biased or not. it's just that they don't like him. They don't like him. Even if you was doing stuff with Al Heyman, well, you haven't met Al Heyman. He ain't never met you. He never talked to him. You could say you're doing it for him, but he never told you. If you were doing it for him, I don't think Al Heyman would tell you to do the stuff you've been doing. So how you go ahead, B.
But here's the problem, EJ. Everyone's biased, but people are more covert with their bias.
Yeah.
These guys are just too open and blatant about it. And when you're at a press conference and you're asking questions, and you have like Eddie Hearn saying that's the dumbest question that I've ever heard, or you always ask dumb questions, right then and there, you know where you stand. You know, Eddie Hearn, he's like they ask questions to Eddie Hearn and they challenge him, but they don't know how to like support what they accuse Eddie Hearn. They'll accuse Eddie Hearn of doing something, and then Eddie Hearn will say, "Well, provide me proof that I did that," and they'll be like, "Well, I that's just something I heard." You can't come at somebody like that.
No.
Hard without backing up what you're saying, and it's been done several times by I hate to say it, but it's been done several times by Fred.
Yeah,
Fred will just say. Fred will just he'll say things, he'll put stuff out there, and then he'll be called out on it, and he can't back it up.
Yep.
So right then and there, you're not going to get respected.
Yeah, but that's what I was saying. Like, well, he did it to Andre Ward, and that is the thing is, yeah, when you're that combative, you feel like you're doing it for your fan base, and you get views, and you're doing it for who you are. Like, people's like, okay, we may want you to do it, like the racist emails or whatever, but and then we talk a lot of stuff. We shoot a lot of breeze on YouTube, right? But rarely people are going to go down. So he's actually gone out his way to go and do that and say he's doing it for us, right? The next breath he's saying he's doing it for Al Heyman. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Really and true, you're doing it for yourself. You know what I mean? Let's be honest, you're doing it for yourself, right? You're doing it for yourself and the viewership and the numbers. And this is another thing as well. People get allured with this whole thing that I've got 50,000 subscribers. I've got 1 million subscribers. You think you're big in the real world, in the cyber world, yeah, you may be, or you turn your YouTube on and you getting all these views. But bro, if KSI and Logan Paul was to walk around England, right, without the security, you wouldn't know who the frick they were, bro. I don't care who they think they are. They may be big on the internet, but they still, in my opinion, are not as big as the current music stars, football stars, basketball stars, and so on. But yeah, in the YouTube world, I like what they did. But I think that's what people are getting in trouble with. People getting gassed up thinking they're bigger than they are. And I'll be honest with you though, a lot of people are biased. Like Fat Dan and Kevin Oli, they've been biased today. Like they say hellacious stuff about fighters. Larry Merchant, notoriously biased. but he's got. All I'm saying is that he has the big wig of HBO behind him. That's what I'm trying to say. So if Fred is doing this, if he was affiliated with Al Heyman, he worked for them, then he could get away with saying stuff and getting away with it. That's what I'm trying to say. And then that's why he ain't getting away with shit. That's all it is. You know what I mean? You ain't got no muscle power. You ain't got no muscle. That's all it is. That's all I'm saying. I can be biased if you want. Seriously, like I see those biased stuff all the time. It doesn't matter how much you finesse them, because these people, let's be honest, these people, you can't stand them. I wouldn't have breakfast with them. I wouldn't invite them to lunch. I wouldn't invite them to my house party. I wouldn't do nothing with these people, right? But yeah, I'm supposed to go there. I'm supposed to go there and finesse these people that I can't stand just to get an interview and just you know what I'm trying to say to you. No one likes Kelly Swanson. No one likes, she's a miserable woman. I met her when I said she was happy, you know, the people, but she knows she has to be a bitch. She has to be a bitch to get a reputation, and that's what she's on. She ain't trying to be your friend. You know, you know what I mean? Go ahead.
She has the most irritating voice when she screams. She's like, "All right, everybody, sit down." Oh my God, her voice goes right through you. I can't stand her. I can't stand her.
I've heard the voice. I was saying one time, before I even knew who the hell she was, there was a woman screaming at people to do this and to do that. Yeah. And I thought to myself, I wish she would just shut up.
But here's the thing. This is why she acts like that.
Yeah.
Because again, she's a woman, and she feels as though like there's a perception that women are soft. They're going to be taken advantage of. Yeah. So she goes extra hard to be over the top.
She goes
to let people know that I'm not going to be walked on.
But she has to. She has to kind of. She almost has to be that way. Almost.
Yeah. She has to because she's in a man world. But but listen to this, right? The guy that okay, you feel 1 minute. Let me get this in and fill you next, right? The guy who sprayed water on Nez, the security guard, right? Have you seen
Neil?
Everyone knows who he is. Nez knows who he was in America. He's in Los Angeles. Nez ain't done nothing yet. Nez ain't done nothing yet. He sprayed water for them. They ain't done nothing to him, right?
Nez was gonna jump the barrier.
So he said, like he gonna do this, he gonna do that. You ain't doing shit. And what I'm trying to say to you, I see Neil when he's in the UK, right? And he won the security, right? He's a cool guy. I think he's okay with me. I think he's okay. He won Nez twice. The interview is over, and then Nez didn't want to listen, right? And then the guy that showed Nez, well, boy, you're not gonna listen. I'm just gonna embarrass you, and that's what he did. But Nez didn't do nothing. And then this all goes into when Fred is complaining about, and that day you're not as big as you think you are, and that's what it comes down to. And that's all I gotta say. Go ahead, Phil.
Yeah, no, what I was saying right here, man. Look, I agree with you. You know, in regards to Fred thinking that he's bigger than what he actually is. But my point is this right here: if these people will, cut ties with somebody like Teddy Atlas, then because of his bias, then the YouTube channel doesn't stand a chance. You understand what I'm saying? At the end of the day, I mean, because if you're going to align yourself with somebody, if you can at least line yourself with somebody with the likes of like a Teddy Atlas, if you're going to have to pick somebody that is biased. You understand what I'm saying? You're not going to pick somebody like a YouTube channel that is biased, and on top of being biased is somewhat, bringing race into every equation that it'll possibly go into, and even ones that it doesn't even fit into. Mm-hmm. So I mean, at the end of the day, you're shooting yourself in the foot. Like I tell, and I talk with EJ all the time. And I get a lot of slack for this, but my whole deal is this right here, right? Do I support my black fighters? Yes, of course. But at the end of the day, if I have to make a call on the fight, the color of the skin, the culture, the background is irrelevant, because when you start making decisions based off that, you're not credible anymore. And if you're not credible, guess what? They're not going to invite you to a fight, regardless. You dig what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, when you talk about this stuff, when you get your channels, which goes back to what you guys were talking about earlier, you have to be credible. You have to, like you said, Raphie, take the bias out of it. Take the bias out of it and give it straightforward and say it like it is, man. And that's the only way you can survive in this industry, not with division.
Yeah, 100%. No, hold on, EJ.
Okay.
100%. And let's not misunderstand. Let's not misunderstand here. There is everybody's biased. Everybody, what is bias? A bias is a preference. Okay. Now, one man. Now, Habib, you might like short, plump girls. Phil might like tall, slender women.
EJ athletic.
EJ likes the 100-meter sprinter Jamaican ladies. Yeah, he likes the 100-meter sprinter Jamaican ladies and the Jamaican Olympic team. Yeah. Me personally, I prefer the 200-meter sprinters. They're a little bit taller, a little bit longer, a little bit, So everyone has their preferences. So long as your preference isn't so outrageous, as long as your preference isn't so outrageous, there is actually nothing wrong with having preferences, but you have to start from the center. So I prefer Anthony Joshua over Deontay Wilder, but I start from the center. How do I start from the center? I start from the center by saying I acknowledge that Wilder is getting better. People say he's got no skill. I disagree. He has been developing skills over time. So I acknowledge his strengths before I talk about his weaknesses. Do you know what I'm saying? I try to. Now that is making sure that the bias, you start off from a central point and then you go into your preferences. If you want to talk about your preferences, you can talk about your preferences. But the first thing you have to do is show people that you know where the point of unbiased lies. And the problem with a lot of these guys, Fred being one of them, is that he's so off kilter. He's so off center that he just seems like sometimes he seems, even though he's clearly has some education, he just comes off because he doesn't show you that he knows where the center line is. He just comes off as a raving buffoon. Come in, EJ.
Yeah, I was gonna make the point is, I understand what everyone is, but in the media world and in the actual, when you go to a media event, right? This is just my perception of in the media world. It's a dog-eat-dog world. Mm-hmm. Now, I'll give you an example. Anthony Joshua will be on the stage, and they say everyone get interviewed. So they might do a thing where before they had a queue, so you used to queue up, right? Now I was one of the guys there. I was like, I ain't trying to queue shit. I'm gonna meet Anthony Joshua downstairs, round the corner. When everyone's ready for him, and I'm gonna get my interviews then. That's what I always do my little thing, right? I get my interviews. So now they get the thing where they got security. After he does, Anthony Joshua comes, the newspaper gets him, and then he goes straight. He doesn't, digital media don't touch him. So what we're talking, and what Fred is talking about is that he goes to these media things, and he'd be lucky if he even sniffs certain people. Yeah. He ain't getting, they're being ushered away. Like they're only letting them talk to certain media outlets. But you're not getting, and this is not because of bias. This is simply because they don't recognize you as anyone. There's certain digital media. They look at them and say, yeah, they do big numbers, but I'm just gonna marginalize him anyway. I don't care what he's saying. I don't care if he's got big views, because look, as you see, KSI Logan Paul, he got big views. They got million views, but they can still be marginalized. That's why they kind of stay in their own world, which is gaming, right? But in that world, where digital media is forthcoming, if you say anything out of context, you can be blackballed. You can be blackballed, whether you haven't said anything positive, just because they don't like you, right? And this is the world you're in. It is a very cutthroat business. Michelle Joy Phelps was thinking of quitting because when she was there, she was a woman. She was getting a lot of looks. I was there when Mayweather and Tank Davis came over, right? Yeah. So Mayweather and Tank Davis came over. Mayweather had a scrum, right? And Mayweather was a scrum. He was all there. IFL was there. Not IFL. Fight Hype was there talking to him, right? Then I don't want to be in a scrum. This is Michelle Fights, right? Because she's so used to getting one-on-ones. I don't want to be in no scrum. This is what she said for a lot. I don't want to be in no scrum. I want one-on-one. So she went and talked to Mayweather's thing. And the woman said, yeah, okay, in a minute. Mayweather just left. And she was like, I couldn't believe I didn't get an interview. And the woman was like, so? Like, you had your chance. And she goes, but you said one-on-one. And the woman goes, no, I didn't. And the woman was like, she was just standing there like, I couldn't believe it. Because you're so used to being prioritized, right? Yeah. This is what you're dealing with. When you go in, you have to understand, when you be in that thing, it is a cutthroat business. You're lucky if you, look, I can tell this, right? You can see that's why some people don't even tell you they're at an event, because they didn't get no interviews. They went to the event and they didn't get the main guy. That's used to happen to me quite a few times. I'd go there and I'll be lucky if I get Dillian White. I'll be lucky if I get Anthony Joshua. Back in the days when I used to go there, Anthony Joshua wasn't a big thing. I was there when I saw to see the whole explosion when Anthony Joshua thing, and I saw to the point where now I could barely talk to the guy. He's virtually basically untouchable. You know what I'm trying to teach you? When before he was like in a stone throw away from me. Dillian White, right? He was like that. He was becoming like that. I'm not so sure now. He'll probably go down. But you know how it is. Your stock goes up, but when you lose or anything, no one cares about you. You know what I'm saying? That's what you're dealing with right now. When Canelo came over, they wanted a scrum with Canelo. I was like, yo, he don't really speak much English. I don't even know what to say to him. Yeah. Triple G got ushered away. You know what I mean? They were treating him like he was the Teflon Don. So my whole thing is this, right? I just feel like end of the day, they hype on their views, and when they go there, they think that's gonna get them through. But it's more to do with not how much your views are, what you can negotiate. You understand what I'm saying? Because you know, if you talk to the right people and they say, yeah, okay, you're in. But I don't think Fred and rest of them guys, Blue Blood, have done the groundwork. They've got through the door, but they ain't done the negotiations to go to the next level. That's what I feel. You know what I mean? They're still on ground floor. That's it. And it's not really to do with their bias or how they opinion. It's just the fact that they're not good people to elevate. Because you see Radio Raheem, give respect to Radio Raheem. We saw Radio Raheem on KSI and Logan Paul. He's in the ring. You know, we saw Radio Raheem was just doing interviews now, right? And now you see him go in the ring, and he's the main guy. He's the main, like Max Kellerman. He was in there talking his thing. So, you know, he's elevated. Michelle Joy Phelps was doing the World Boxing Super Series. So they've elevated, but now how do they stay at that level when you've been there? And do they still get them perks? See, it's up to them to see how can they maintain that level. And even them as themselves, they're still trying to fight to get to that point. Because I see Radio Raheem, he's very arrogant. He is very arrogant and very rude. One time I was interviewing Carl Froch and he's telling me, yeah, how long you going to be? I'm like, dude, like, no, I'm actually in the queue. He's telling me how long I'm going to be. I'm like, I'm interviewing this guy and you're asking me how long I'm going to be. I goes, I'll see. So I interviewed him, right? And then he interviewed Paulie Malignaggi. After I finished with Carl Froch, I was doing it for the boxing voice at the time. He left and Radio Raheem was fuming.
Damn.
He was fuming. He was like steam coming out of his ear that I actually got in front of him. That he feel like he's a priority. You understand what I'm saying? So I emphasize what Fred is saying, but I do believe it's more to do with negotiating and who you're not backing. Really, more so than his content of what he's saying. That is just my experience of being around it. Bees may be different, but that's just me. You know what I mean?
Okay. So new media. new media.
No such thing.
Okay.
Really?
I'm coming to you, Beeb. I'm just setting it up. I'm just lobbing it up for you.
All right.
Okay. So new media. New media was the term, was a catchphrase, was a term used by channels who fall under the LDBC umbrella. New media was the hot button term. New media was coming in, and new media was gonna take over. Beeb, talk to me.
Well, ask Fred if new media is taking over.
Yeah.
Because that's something that they created.
Yep.
And you know, boxing's been around a long time, and it evolved over the years. But certain things, like EJ said, will still stay the same. People that have juice will always have juice, and they will have the priority.
That's a good term.
YouTube, I don't care what they say, YouTube is not a priority to these guys, to these promotional companies. If you don't have a website and you're not actually working for like a real media organization that's credible, then you're not going to be taken serious. You just can't create a friggin' YouTube channel and say, "Hey, I'm new media, I'm running shit."
Yeah.
And you know, think that you're going to jump in front of people. You're not. It's just not going to happen. Now, got to give Nestor Gibbs credit because he created basically a company.
I was going to come to him. Carry on.
The Boxing Voice is an LLC, okay? And Nestor Gibbs does the work. Yeah. He's got a website, and whether you like him or not, you got to give him credit because he does a good job with the interviews.
Yes, he does.
You know, he's a very professional interviewer. He's biased, but he's objective. He's objective when he does the interviews.
Yes.
So you got to give him credit for that, and he's very professional. You know, I've covered events with Ness before too, and one thing that you know EJ was talking about how like Ness tends to kind of like, that incident with the bodyguard. He tends to go where he wants and do what he wants. I saw that firsthand.
Yeah.
I've been to events with Ness, and the way he just kind of like, I'm kind of impressed with it, and I kind of give him credit for it because he just kind of blends in. Like, I covered a fight with him, like the Afghani Gradovich Billy Dib fight.
Yeah.
It was at Foxwoods, and we weren't supposed to go where we were supposed to go, but Ness just has like a swag to him. Yeah. We just walked upstairs. We went backstage. We were in fucking Afghani Gradovich's locker room. We were in Billy Dib's locker room, and we were and he just walked in there like he was supposed to be there when he wasn't. And I just followed right behind him. I said, "Damn, I'll just fucking follow him. I don't give a fuck." You know what I'm saying? And he's got a presence. And 9 out of 10 times it works. But the 10th time it doesn't work, it usually gets ugly. There's another video where you see that video where that woman was throwing him out of the Sands Hotel. You know what I'm saying? But I will say 85% of the time that move works.
Yeah.
So
Yaxel Foley's it.
Yeah.
So he just Axel Foley. You remember that? The film? The film?
Axel Foley? Yeah.
Axel Foley's it.
Yeah. So you can say what you want, but Ness never said I'm new media. Ness just wants to be part of the media.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to be part of the media. He's not looking to create a new lane. He wants to be part of the lane. He wants to jump in. He wants to jump in the lane.
Yeah.
So when I was with Ness, what Ness used to say was, "I want to be like the Seconds Out. I want to be like the Fight Hypes. I want to." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He never wanted to like say, "Oh, I'm going to create my own." Like he obviously he wanted to have his own brands. Don't get me wrong. He wanted to have he wanted his interviews to stand out over everyone else's. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But he wasn't looking to reinvent the wheel either. Like I'm gonna create a whole new movement and stuff. Like, no, that's what the podcast was for. But when it came time to cover events, when it came time to deal with promoters and promotional companies and PR people, Ness did it with respect.
Yeah.
So regardless of how Ness and I ended our relationship, from a business standpoint, I got mad respect for the guy. The guy created a brand.
Yeah.
And when I was with him, he had like 5,000-6,000 subscribers. Now he's got like over 100,000 subscribers.
Yeah, yes.
And he did it. And I used to always say to him, like, what he was able to do with that brand in such a short period of time. It was really, really impressive. So that's the thing. Like, if you want to be part of the media, be part of the media. You can still be who you are. You can still be yourself. You can still have your own identity. But don't try to create a cult. Don't try to create a cult, because that ain't gonna work, bro. That ain't gonna work. Charlie Manson tried that shit. You saw what happened. Cults do not work.
Yeah.
Cults do not work.
Yeah. Yeah. So
that's the problem.
That is the problem. That is the problem. That is a big problem. So the cult was made. The cult was set up. The cult told us they had come to take over. They had come to take over. And as a matter of fact, let's not even use the past tense. Let's use the present tense. What he has said, what's his name? Fred. Fred has said he will show up. He can command 300 men in every state in the US of A. Phil Walker, talk to me.
So, man, look, I got somewhat of a different take on this.
Okay, that's good.
New media, YouTube, whole deal. Look, let me tell you something.
Yeah.
When you talk about YouTube, and let's really think about this, okay?
Yeah.
All right. YouTube was put out so regular people like us, can actually have a channel to share, promote, and just give our opinions, okay?
Yeah.
And that's a wonderful thing. But as time evolved, YouTube blew up. Okay. Now you see all the like, okay, I don't know what news channels you guys have down in the UK, but you know, Fox has a YouTube channel, CNN, ESPN. Okay. All the major networks have YouTube channels now. Okay. When YouTube first dropped, it wasn't like that. So people can say what they want, but YouTube is a big deal. Okay. YouTube is a big deal. And you can see by the numbers and the people that's involved in creating channels specifically for YouTube. So when you go in and you talk about new media has many coats, shall I say. Okay, many hats. Okay. Now you have the new media such as, I'm just giving an example, like Joe Rogan show. Okay. That's YouTube. Okay. His main platform is YouTube. Huge. He's media. He got into YouTube because he didn't like how industry people was handling business. So he took it upon himself to create his own show. That's YouTube. That's new media right there. His form of new media. You got Vlad TV. Okay. All right. Huge channel. Okay. Same thing. He didn't like how industry was handling him. He came out with his channel. So when you talk about new media, it's all about how you go about doing things. Okay. It is a certain way to start a YouTube channel, be professional, and elevate yourself. Okay. So with that being said, okay, it is very few channels. Okay. When I say channels, I'm talking about the entire YouTube nation, right? That has got on YouTube and has made their mark in a particular industry that they wouldn't have been able to do so if they were outside of YouTube. You understand what I'm saying? And now people notice them. You know, people respect them. People call them and ask to be on their shows. Okay. So at the end of the day, it's a certain way that you have to do this. And ultimately it's a thin line. But I think it all starts with the respect of industry, and it starts with the respect of your craft. Okay. And you have to respect the people that you're interviewing. Okay. Whether it's somebody in boxing, hip hop, people who've committed crimes, whatever your lane is, you have to respect that culture. And in that way, people will follow you. You will get subscribers and people will notice you. So at the end of the day, YouTube is absolutely 110% a big deal because, like I said, at the beginning, all these major networks didn't have channels. That has changed. You can get on YouTube, you can watch something that's 2 hours long, or you can watch something that's 10 seconds long. Okay? You can't do that on regular television. Okay? You can't do that on major networks. But YouTube provides that for you. And people can capitalize off of that, and a lot of people have. I'm done with mine.
100%.
EJ Boxing, new media.
Someone just put in the chat, Mike Tyson's jumped on it. You know what I'm saying? Beeb used to be affiliated with Nez. Look at me, you got ringside report, you know what I'm saying? Styles, everyone doing their thing or putting their things out there. And you know, we will not be controlled. You're not gonna tell us what to say. You know, we do disagree with each other, but at the end of the day, ultimately, you know, we kind of respect each other to a certain extent, and we get it. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, what Fred was talking about, I do agree with him to a certain extent, but I don't agree with with the firing of certain people. I believe that if that's the way they're doing it, then stay in your channels, keep doing what you do, keep doing your grind. I don't believe that you're never gonna. These people, if they don't respect you, they're never gonna respect you. And putting foots on the floor, how many soldiers he's got to do what? Soldiers do what? Against who? Against Kelly Watson? I mean, what are you saying now? Why are you threatening her? I don't understand. Like you making a plea. Like it don't make no sense. You know what I mean? What? Because you're not getting interviews of who you think you should, and now you're saying you was basically out here with your dude. Now he's not your dude. You're going against him. I mean, what are we doing here? Like it seems like that's a complete breakdown of the person in front of us, and like there's no sympathy. You know what I mean? There's no sympathy. Like for me, I had problems with the media, but I didn't come out and say anything. No, I do. Out here, I'm saying that I understand what he's talking about, So I'm not advocating for anyone to lose their job over it, bro. I'm just like, okay, this is the way life is. I had a good run. How I got into it was through James Tony's manager, who said to me, come down to one press conference. I didn't know where it was. I just came down, right? And it was a Sky Sports. James Tony came to the UK, and that was my first. So that's why I first met Anthony Joshua, right? And it was the UK versus prize fighter. And then I went to the next press conference was Carl Frutch and George Groves, the very first one when it was very small, right? And the next one I went there, Eddie Hearn said to me, you know, you go to all these ones, you should get your press pass. And I never even thought about that. I was just enjoying interviewing people behind the barriers, right? That's what I was doing. And he said, you need to get your press pass, right? Coogan, when I was there, Coogan was very welcoming. All the media guys are welcoming, but it's become a big multi-business now, and I got pushed back in the shuffle. And I understand it, but I had a good run, right? I had a good run. I can't complain. But I'm not going to get overhead and say, yo, I deserve this and I deserve that, which I felt at sometimes I got pushed up. It was bothering me. But there's other things in boxing. Boxing, YouTube has allowed me. I'll tell you what YouTube's allowed me to do. Go to media events through YouTube, go to media events, interview people, and now I'm an amateur judge. Now I've got a pro license in boxing. This all happened for me just focusing on boxing through YouTube. So I'm very blessed. I'm sure Fred is one of these dudes there, is that he feels like he should be better. Like, I think he was running for a Congress or trying to be a mayor, and he failed there. And now he felt like he was killing it. I terrorized one of the top promoters in the country. I terrorized Andre Ward. I'm killing it. I terrorized De La Hoya. You know what I'm saying? So he done some stuff that, but now he's thinking, okay, now they're going to respect me. No, bro. It don't go like that. If anything, they might disrespect you. And that's what's happened to the point where you had a good run at it, like I did, and it's over. Your run's over. So now you need to go find something else to do, which with your time, where you ain't going to get that no more. Because, Eddie Hearn's people are not going to let you do that around that. That was very uncomfortable. And for everyone watching it was uncomfortable. And on the situation with Andre Ward, you're basically advocating to say Andre Ward is an Uncle Tom or whatever you was trying to say. That shit was uncomfortable, bro.
Yeah, it was uncomfortable.
It was uncomfortable, bro. And now you're trying to, and now you're going off the Kelly Swartz, bro.
He's going after Al as well. He's going after
Al and Wilson. Like, bro, this is a breakdown. This is a complete breakdown. You're a breakdown and not understanding that you was very privileged about what you're doing. You're taking a chill pill and broaden your horizon. So give you an example, right? Yeah. If I really wanted to, I could just jump on the plane and go over to America where Andy Lever works for Sky. I'm cool with him, right? He does the thing with Sky. And I'm sure he'd be welcoming to see me from the UK, knowing that I made the travel over to the thing. And maybe I might get a couple more interviews in America. So if I was Barbershop, Fred, when there's stuff in the UK, jump on the plane and come over to the UK. Like Radio Raheem, invest money into yourself and come over here and start interviewing the UK fighters. Bro, your world's bigger than where you are. You know what I'm trying to say to you? Rather than trying to advocate for people to lose their jobs, bro. You know what I'm saying? Everything doesn't go nowhere. So my whole thing is this, in a nutshell, right? I'm trying to say to you, get what you want, you get what you negotiate, right? And then when your run's done, just take it on the chin and keep moving. That's what I'm saying. I'm done. I'm done.
Okay. So
Phil made some good points, but I kind of want to I kind of want to take that apart a little bit, because when you say new media, YouTube is definitely a new media outlet, right? But when you mention people like Joe Rogan and Vlad TV, they're part of the new outlet. This is a new lane. YouTube is a new lane. So things are not as conventional as they once were. So now there's another lane. But when you talk about guys like Joe Rogan and Vlad TV, they don't subscribe to mob mentality. Okay, these people that are yelling out, "Oh, I'm new media. I'm new media." Like Joe Rogan doesn't yell, "I'm new media." Vlad doesn't say, "I'm new media." They say that we're part of a new type of format, basically. Like where podcasting is the way to go now.
Well, let me stop you there for a second. Let me stop you there for a second. They are saying they're new media, but the difference is they are not saying the new media, which they are, is going to take over the old media.
Well, they're not being hostile. They're not being hostile.
Yeah, I agree.
And they're not being like, they don't have that mob mentality. They don't have that cultish way about them.
I agree with that.
You know, they like Joe Rogan likes when people disagree with him.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
When you have a cult, you have to fall in line. You know, it's crazy.
Let me jump in there, Beeb. That's the main difference. You see, Joe Rogan, and I've been following Joe Rogan from the get-go, from the time when he had barely a few subscribers, because of the martial arts connection. I've been following him from the get-go, from the jump. I've been following him. I had a computer. I didn't know what the hell to do with it. So, boom, started to get into podcasts. And the key point you made there so far, anyway, the key point is, even though they say, listen, Joe Rogan's stance, and I am an admirer of what he's achieved and what he did, even before he achieved anything with his channel. I admired what he was doing. He was just getting on there and expressing his views, his thoughts, and he is biased. He has bias. He's anti this, anti that, anti the other. So he's very biased, but he's very clear about it. And also, more pertinently, he will have people who disagree with him, and he will debate them. Sometimes he can be very hostile. Joe Rogan has been very hostile, almost to the degree of unprofessionalism. I don't know if you ever saw his interview with Amy Schumer, the female comedian. There's 2 interviews, and in the second one, she just got big. She just burst through. Or she was just getting big. She just burst through the door, and she was just about to go mainstream, or she was just getting mainstream. Now, towards the end of that interview, Joe Rogan, he literally beat her. He beat her down. He lyrically, verbally gave her a beating. He got her to submit to his will. And she at one point, when she had finally broken, she just said, oh, maybe it's just a woman thing. Maybe it's just my time of the month. So the guy broke her down to the point where he was uncomfortable to watch. So Joe Rogan, and later on, he admitted, he said sometimes he makes mistakes. Sometimes he thought he was right, and he argued with somebody thinking he was right. And then he looks back later and said, no, I was wrong. So, Joe Rogan comes from that perspective where he's passionate. He will speak passionately, sometimes biasly, on his view, but the key and pertinent point is that he entertains and he will deal with opposition happily in a debate format. Whereas with a cult, no, there can be no opposition. If you oppose a view, you're a this, you're a that, you're every negative thing under the sun. I just wanted to interject that point, but that's the difference. These guys are cult-like, but carry on, Beep.
Well, that's the problem. One person in the cult will say one thing, and everyone has to repeat it.
Yes.
There's no individuality. Like Eric and I, we do a show every week. We're a team. We're a unit.
Yeah.
But we disagree about everything. But it's not hostile. That. Let's use an example. The Fury Wilder fight.
Yeah.
There were people in that group that thought Fury won.
Mm-hmm.
And they got chastised by the majority of the group, who was obviously thought Wilder won because there's a connection there, whatever.
Yeah.
So these people went and watched the fight again, and they said, "Oh, I watched it a second time. Well, Wilder did win now," because they were coerced into saying the talking point that was the theme of the day, which was Wilder won.
Yeah.
Now, if you think Wilder won, you think Wilder won. You think Fury won, you think Fury won, whatever. But don't change your mind, because you have to fall in line with what the cult says.
Crazy.
So and that's the thing. It's like, I was watching one of D-Style's videos, and he had a member of the cult on there.
Yep.
And he basically said, well, so and so said this, and he goes, I'm not just saying it because they said it. Well, you just said you're not saying it because they said it. So why you just told on yourself, because you are saying it because they said it. You're just repeating the talk. You're just repeating the talking point.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, so if new media is being a cult, and we're going to be hostile, and we're going to take over, and we're going to do what we want, say what we want. We're going to be like, the vigilantes of boxing. We're going to, point out all the wrongs in boxing, and we're going to call everyone out, and we're going to put everyone on blast. That's not going to work, because all you're going to do is burn bridges. And then you're never going to be able to go to any fights. Then you're not going to be able to get any interviews, and then you just basically be talking to your own people in your own inner circle.
That's right.
Because no one else is going to want to talk to you.
And you see, the problem is with that cult business, cult behavior, is that throughout everything that Fred said, he said one thing which resonated with me. One thing, uno. And that was that in all these years, Kelly Swanson doesn't have one black person working for her in her office. And that
I don't know that. I don't know that.
Yeah, well, that's what he said. That's what Fred said.
But has Fred been in the office? Has he did they invite Fred to the office and give him a tour?
Well, before we get into that, and we can get into that, but before we get into that, the point I'm making is that, you see, when you have a cult like that, where they behave like that, like we've just described, everything they say gets thrown out of the window as garbage, which most of it is, and rubbish, which most of it is, in my opinion. But when he makes a good point, if it is true what he said, it's a good point. When he makes a good point, that gets thrown out too. And that's unfortunate. That's the unfortunate thing. Because I'm like Lennox Lewis. If you have a business in an urban conurbation, the employees should reflect the area in which the operation is conducted. So if I go into the opticians, for those people who weren't here at the beginning, if I go into the opticians, when I go into my opticians, and he's like, he employs 10 people, front staff. I see 10 people in the front. I don't know how many people they got in the back, but at the front I see 10 people. I don't see one black in an urban conurbation, in a place where there are plenty of black folk. I find that strange. I find that strange. Now, Fred touched on that, and it was a good point. If what he said is true, it was a damn good point. But you see, that gets thrown out because they're a cult and the way they conduct themselves. You throw out everything.
Well, here's another problem. If you do make a good point every now and then, yeah, it tends to get overshadowed by the 15 other things that are negative, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But listen to this, right?
Yeah.
She's a woman, right, in a man's industry.
Yeah.
Right? And this going back to why she shouts and why she feels she has to do all that stuff. How many women in that position, and Mayweather gave the opportunity, she's white. But how many women in that position get the opportunity? Because everywhere I go, and this is Matchroom, right? It's usually men. There's another woman who does it for the top rank, the UK one, and her name's Marcia. I knew Marcia when she had a fight at AJ Carter, and she does it for top rank, right? And she's Greek, whatever. She's another woman, right? But rarely women get the opportunity to be in that position, and they put a woman in that position because they respect her. And Mayweather gave her the stamp for approval because she was, Mayweather said, "Look, go talk to Kelly," because he likes the way when people go talk to her. He likes the way she roughs people up. That's why she's like a bloody little pit bull, right? Yeah. So you know what I mean? And I know that when I went up to her myself, right, she was cool to me, right? But if I was asking the wrong question, I could see her bite my head off, right? Yeah. And that thing. But she was cool because I was talking. She liked the idea. She come from America, and like someone in the UK knew who she was, and she was like, "Yo, you're Kelly Swanson, yeah." And like, because when I saw her, and Mayweather was not too far around. That's why and it was Conor McGregor waiting. She was cool. But what I'm saying to you, I do understand what he's saying, like you said. But end of the day, you're not taking credit that she's a woman in a man's industry getting it done. You know what I'm trying to say to you? You know what I mean? That's not easy in itself, right? Now, is there people who look like us or look like him in that situation? Maybe not, but I don't know all of her staff. I don't know who her staff or who she hires and employs. Does he? That's something I don't know. But I know as well. Then he's trying to say, "Oh, I'm down with Al Heyman. The brothers ain't doing this. The brothers ain't doing that." I'm like, bro, like, let me say something. Like, end of the day, you got your pitchfork, I got my pitchfork, but you got your way in there, and now it's up to you, like Radio Raheem and other people who look a certain way to make a way for yourself. You know what I'm trying to say to you? You're already made. The only thing is now you want their stamp of approval, and I'm trying to tell you they don't want to give people from YouTube a stamp of approval. Let's get this right. Eddie Hearn didn't like KSA and Paul Logan, the first fight. He never liked it. He said, "Oh, that's just rubbish." And when he saw the numbers, okay, I'll take them on board. So much so, he disrespected them by putting Tank Davis and Billy Joe Saunders, and then started to criticize Billy Joe Saunders and Tank Davis. They didn't perform as well as KSI because he wanted them to fight again. But they're
not Tank Davis. It was Billy Joe Saunders and Devin Haney.
Devin Haney. He wanted them to fight. He wanted KSI and Logan Paul to fight another third fight, so we can then make money. But they said no, they're not interested. They just done that last fight, and that's it. I understand that they're not stupid. It was just one of the things. We settled the beef, and it's over. They're not continuing making a career of getting hit in the head. They ain't stupid, right? They understand there's more money to be made elsewhere, and I ain't getting my head bashed in, right? And dealing with stuff I don't need to deal with because their reputations. But what I'm saying is this, right? End of the day, trying to use certain things to manipulate it and trying to say, oh, maybe it's a black thing and people don't look like me and Al Heyman and all that stuff. I say, yo, bro, like that's real low. You know what I'm saying? But you know that's how he feels. I think Phil's God knows. Nice one, Phil. But anyway, what I'm saying is this. End of the day, listen, if you had a good innings, you had a good run, but it's time to say bon voyage and listen, and YouTube is tightening up. They're tightening up their policies. They've got all these policies coming on YouTube. So they're trying to regulate us over here anyway. We have to fight off that. We don't even know we're gonna be here in a year's time. So that's that's another question.
Okay, so yeah, good points. I want to just address a point in the chat. A point by where's the point? Hold on. First and foremost, smash that like button, folks. If you're here for the first time and you're new to the channel and you enjoy what you hear, go ahead and hit that bell icon so you can stay updated with news and notifications. In other words, subscribe. Much appreciated. Okay. Just want to address a good point by Leighton Evelyn. In response to what I said about workplaces should reflect the ethnic diversity or lack thereof of wherever they're situated. Okay, so I think Leighton Evelyn got the wrong end of the stick. I think Leighton Evelyn thinks that I am saying that they should just go out and employ anybody to fulfill a quota. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. Firstly, there don't appear to be no quotas. And what I am saying is that there are capable people of every race available in the marketplace, and that should be reflected in the workplace. And I'll give you a little example of when that does not happen. So when I was studying film on the course, an opportunity arose. An opportunity arose upstairs in the office, even though it was students. An opportunity arose to work in the accounts department. Nobody, I was not told about the availability, about the vacancy. Many people were not told about the opportunity, about the vacancy. But one girl, white lady, white girl, white woman, all of a sudden got the job. Now, many of us were shocked and astonished that here this student among us has got the job. So that means there must have been a process. And how the hell is it that we didn't even know that there was a vacancy, but yet she's gone through the whole process and got the job? We didn't really make too much of a fuss of it at the time. We should have done. We should have said, well, how is this possible that one person out of the bunch has been made, the one white girl out of the bunch has been noticed that there's a vacancy, has gone through the application procedure and got the job, gone through all of that process without any of us knowing? How is that humanly possible? So, and this is a true story. It's a true story. Anybody who is interested, I'm not going to put the layer. I'm not going to jump ahead of the story. Okay, let me tell you the story and then you understand what I'm saying. Okay, so the course, we ran its course. I came out of it very well. Got a number of commendations, all well and good. All well and good. Cool. So a couple of years later, I've moved on now. I just want to acquire those skills. I've moved on now. A couple of years later, I bump into one of the girls who was an Asian girl, half Asian girl, mixed race, half Asian, half white. Bumped into her. She was one of the ones who was a bit more switched on, and she was like, well, how the hell could this girl get a job when we didn't even know there was a vacancy? So she was switched on. Anyway, a couple of years later, I bump into her. She said, have you heard about, okay, I'll use the first name. Have you heard about Katie? Have you heard about Katie? I said, no. Well, what about Katie? Well, have you not read the newspaper? I said, no, not really. Well, you need to Google her, because what she did was she swindled the company out of thousands of pounds. She embezzled the company. And what I'll do is, because I'm not here to out the girl, but what I'll do is, EJ, I'll send you her full name. I'll do the same for you, Beep. I'll send you her full name. You can Google it for yourself and find out that it is fact. This is not a story. I went home, I Googled the damn girl's name, and she was in court. I think she went to jail for embezzlement.
Oh my gosh.
She went to jail for embezzlement. And you know what the truth of the matter is? That I think she got the job because she had a cut glass accent. B might not know what that means. A cut glass accent, it means upper class. Upper class. Me personally, I thought she was putting it on, but the articles that tell the whole story, her father was a rich man. He invested in Lloyd's of London. And at one time, you could not go wrong with that investment. But if you remember years back, Lloyd's went bust, and those people who invested, there was a certain type of investor who never lost. On this occasion, they did lose, and they got wiped out. Certain people, her dad being one of them, got wiped out. Yeah? So all of a sudden, he went from being a rich man to a poor man living in a big house. Now, she made up some sob story that she stole the thousands to help her dad. But when they checked the receipts, what had actually happened is that they had receipts for her going on foreign holidays, treating her boyfriend, who subsequently left her, because obviously he knows now I'm dealing with a thief. My gal's a thief. Hairdos, eating at the finest restaurants, this, that, and I'll send it to you, Phil, as well. So I'm sending it to these people just so they know that the story is factual. I'm going to send you a name. You put it into Google, send you the name and the area, and then she'll come up. So this is a factual story. And the reason I'm telling you the story is because I believe the only reason they employed her and the reason they didn't tell us, the others, about it was because she had a cut glass accent, upper class accent, ethnicity matched the ethnicity of the other people in the office. And so basically they employed her on the basis of her being one of them. And that's what I am anti. That's what I am anti, because when you start employing people on the basis of they're one of us, then that means that one workplace does it, another workplace does it, and not how many workplaces operate on that basis. And so look at the larger picture. The larger picture means that there are people in that conurbation, in that area, who find it more difficult to get employment because you got people in the offices, in the workplace, in the workspace, who only want to employ people who look like them. So that creates a bigger social problem. Beeb, over to you.
I couldn't agree more. You know, because I don't know what your stance is on affirmative action, but you know, I think everyone should just get the equal chances. So, you know,
there are social repercussions and social problems will arise because people are not getting the opportunity to get employed.
But coincidentally, you know, I see what you're saying, that there can't be like everyone. There's got to be someone from another race that is qualified to do the job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't be 100%. You know, one ethnicity.
Yeah.
That,
exactly.
You know, because the company's big, and to sit there and say you can't at least have 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever. That's kind of crazy. You know what I mean?
It's crazy, man. So, and what I'm saying, to reiterate and to be totally clear, I'm not saying you go out to the road and pick a guy or a gal out just because of their ethnicity. No, you have qualified people. You have qualified people out there who want jobs, can't get them, so they've gone to university, but they have to take lower jobs because they can't get into the area that they trained for, simply because you have these workplaces that won't or are reluctant. Well, I see it with my own eyes. Are reluctant to employ people who don't look like them, or they have a preconceived notion of what a person will be like. I remember I went for a job once. This is a true story. I went for a job once, and you know, it's an office-based job back in the day. And the guy looked at me, and the first thing he said to me was, "You're not violent, are you?" Did you hear that?
You don't look violent.
The guy said to me, "You're not violent, are you?"
That's crazy.
That the guy had a preconceived notion that a black male in excess of 6 foot has a propensity for violence greater than a white male over 6 foot.
You know
How tall are you? How tall are you?
You know
I'm in excess of 6 foot, my man.
You know why he said that? Because he gonna do some shit to piss you off, and you're gonna whoop his ass. So he was just doing a preemptive strike. He was saying some shit. You know what I'm saying? Because
I wanted to whoop his ass though.
Yeah, I see. There you go. See, that's what I'm saying. There you go. Like, whoop his ass, man. Like I'll be honest with you. I think there's a lot of that goes around in anything. I think people have precepts. Like I was looking at Eddie Hearn, the whole of his team. He has few black fighters on this thing. The whole of his team, there's no black people there. It's Sky Sports. They only have Johnny Nelson.
That's messed up.
Spencer doesn't work for Sky Sports no more. He worked for MT Global. You know, Spencer used to have his little show. You know what I'm saying? Say Spencer was trying to push that kind of diversity in Sky Sports. When I go there, they do have people who work in Sky Sports of that, but not in the Johnny Nelson. Apart from Johnny Nelson, I think that's the only one. And he doesn't. And Johnny Nelson doesn't consider himself quote unquote black. He knows he's black, but he doesn't try and say, well, that's not the reason why I'm in. But it's like, because you get along with them. And I mean, when the diversity thing was brought up, to Johnny Nelson, he just laughed and say, he thought it was it's absurd or whatever. So he's not really trying to pan to that way. And Radio Raheem, when you talk to Radio Raheem, I'll be honest with you. I'm gonna be straight out honest with you. Radio Raheem could do very well in England, not so much in America. Because in America, they have this thing is that people talk like Radio Raheem, they call him a coon or they call him a sellout or something like that. But in England, people are like, oh, he's well spoken, he conducts himself well. But in America, there's so many stereotypes of Radio Raheem is one of them guys that they feel like he doesn't represent us. Where in England, it's like, he's an American, he's ambitious, he wants to do well, and more power to him. Actually, I talked to Raheem when he first came over when he was at Dillian White's. It was a media workout when he first came to the country, right? And I was like, "Yo, what's up, Radio Him? Oh, you know what?" I was like, "Yeah, man, I watch all your stuff." You had a great interview with Victor Ortiz. I remember the interview with Victor Ortiz after the Mayweather thing about the elbows. One of the best interviews I ever see. Yeah, and I was like, "Oh man, thanks, man." I was like, you know what I mean? I was really happy to be over there and to see Radio Him do very well. I've clashed with him a couple of times, but overall, when he sees me, he's very polite. Misha Joy Phelps, you know what I'm saying? Like when I see her, I'm always welcoming, happy to see her because I don't see a lot of American people all the time, and especially these are the other YouTubers, and they have more viewers than me. So I'm like, yo, I'm always happy to see them. But I'll be honest with you, there's a stereotype when it comes to a lot of people. You know what I mean? A lot of people. I feel like me and Raphie, we went to America when maybe with Beavers in Boston, whatever. I think we probably do pretty well. Maybe not. I think we do pretty well. You're from England. People would know better than me, but I feel certain people, they like certain people, and certain people, they don't like people. It was what my coach says over here. He said, your face doesn't fit. That's what it's easy like because your face don't fit. And I was like, what do you mean? And I understand now as we're talking about this, your face don't fit. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so why are we gonna be there and go through that thing? And certain people did, like Rosie Parks and other people have gone through stuff here to get other people. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So was it worth it? I don't know, because after how many years, you're still bullshit still going on. You know what I mean? I believe in myself, like everyone, you guys here on YouTube and everyone listening, to invest in yourself. I believe invest in yourself and big up yourself and get your own business. Everything was started with a thought, and the thought became someone put effort into it, and it became something. You know what I mean? So, and this is what happens on our channel. So the time we spend trying to big up other people, like Fred's trying to do, Fred should really recognize that you've done so far with yourself that you don't need to be tearing down other people. You know what I mean? That's the smart thing.
Yeah, because I think the difference between a Fred and a Joe Rogan is a Joe Rogan is just doing his thing, and he's growing his thing, and he's doing his thing, and he's growing his thing. Yeah, that's what Joe Rogan does. The thing is, Fred says that new media is going to take over old media, and whereas new media has made inroads, it's still new media. It's a different type of media. New media is to use their term, is a different type of media. So this new media, so-called new media guy, is going to the old media and saying, let me in. And they're saying, old media saying, no, we prefer old media. You keep on doing you. Basically what they're saying is you keep on doing you, stay in your lane, keep doing what you're doing in your lane. And Freddie's saying, no, they're blocking me. They're blocking us. They're blocking my compadres. But it's a different thing. It's a different thing. It's an entirely different thing. He acknowledges it's a different thing. He says it's new media. New media is a different thing. There are crossovers. So Michelle Joy Phelps, Radio Raheem, Coogan Cassius, they were, I guess what Fred would say, they were new media. But then they grew to a level where there was a crossover. It's like colors in a prism. They cross over and form new colors. So they crossed over and they straddle new media and old media now. So it's a different type of media. It's where the colors combine. It's where blue and green come together and make purple. So they're in a new lane now. They've created a new lane, but they only created that new lane by getting big. So Fred is complaining that new media, he wants new media to be treated like old media, and it don't work like that. If you, as an individual or a group, you get so big that they want to welcome you in, then they welcome you in. Alternatively, get a job with the old media and get in that way. But to say with new media, we come to take over and then complain that you can't get press passes when your views are so unashamedly skewed, that just ain't gonna work. Mr. Habib.
Well, it's funny if you're new media, then why do you want to be part of old media?
Exactly.
That's the thing. So you're knocking on old media's door.
Yeah, yeah. But you're saying you're going to take over.
And so why would they let you in if you're threatening them?
Yeah, but that's exactly what that's perfectly it. That's exactly it. You know, you're saying you come to take over, but you want the keys to the castle. No. If you've come to take over, you have to storm the castle.
You're telling me that you want to come rob my house, and you're expecting me to open the door for you.
They want you to come downstairs. It don't matter what hour it is. It could be inconvenient. They want you to come downstairs. They want you to put the welcome mat out, open the door, show you where the kitchen is. You should show them where matter of fact, just get the teas in, get the coffees in. We like tea, get the coffees in. Serve them up with coffee and cookies, chocolate chip cookies, Maryland. And you know, it's all good. It's all good in the hood. It don't work that way. You want to storm the castle. You want to say you want to storm the castle, but you forgot to bring a ladder. So you want the kings and queens to come down and lower the what do you call it? Lower the whatever it is that they have over the moat. Lower the drawbridge. That's it. The drawbridge. Lower the drawbridge so they can get over the moat without getting wet. And then, you know, come on in. It don't work that way. I know it's an oversimplification. But ultimately, that's what we are talking about. And furthermore, we're coming to the end now. But furthermore, he then puts a layer of something else on it. It's like let's go back to childhood, or let's go back to some kind of an individual with an infantile mentality. Guy A doesn't like guy B, so tells his friend guy C that guy B has been talking ish behind his back. So now guy C, along with guy A, is invested in attacking guy B, but guy C is only invested because he's been misled and told some bull-ish. So how this works in this framework is that Fred puts an extra layer on it, puts an extra layer on the shizzle, which may or may not be true. Does Kelly Swanson not have a policy of not employing black folk? You see, that gets people invested. That's got me questioning. That's got me thinking, is this true? Is this true? Because let's get on to what I'm really thinking here, or this section of things. It's important. I said it before, but I'll reiterate it. Different parts of the show, I'll reiterate it. If you are working, if you employ people in an area where there is a cross-section in terms of race of society, there should be a cross-section of that society in your workplace. Otherwise, inequalities will arise, because that is a form of social injustice, when what we really need is social justice, not injustice. So I'm very anti inequality in the workplace.
I like this is my take for this, right? So further to your point, EJ, you see, the reason I mentioned the story that I mentioned, the true story, I'll send you a link. I'll send Habib. Well, in fact, I'll just send you a link to the story rather than just the name. I'll find the story myself and send it to you. You, Habib, and Phil, I'm going to send it to you, just so you know it's legit. And in future, when people ask you, but I'm not going to send it to everybody. I'm not going to put it out there because I'm not here to shame her to the world. I mean, she's already been shamed, but I'm not here to shame her to the world. So I'm just going to send the people who are on the panel the link to the story. I'll send you a couple of links and you'll see it's legit. So if anybody asks you in the future, remember that story that Raph told, was it true? You can say, yes, he sent me the link. It was 100% legit. Okay, I'll do that after the show. Or maybe tomorrow, but I'll do it. But to speak to your point that you raised, you see, my greater point is that
is that there should be a cross section of races employed, so long as they're qualified, and there are a cross section of qualified people, not just in the front of house, but in the back of house. There should be cameramen of all races, qualified, of course, and I know they're qualified cameramen of all races. There should be sound men of all races. You know what I'm saying? In the PBC studios, you know, we tend to forget about what's going on behind the scenes, and so people can get excluded from that. But like I said, if you exclude a race or races, then that will result in social inequality and social unrest. You see what I'm saying? So in every area from the top to the bottom, you should have black bin men and you should have black presidents, so long as they're qualified, from the top to the bottom.
100%.
That is my point.
But this is why I feel Fred, where I think Fred, he wants people employed like him to get him over. That's what I think the problem is. It's not like you want people looking of color doing a good job. I think he wants people with the mindset of how he feels to get him. And that's why I feel like he hasn't got that. He hasn't got people like him himself. That's really what he wants. Like, let's say someone gets a job, and let's say Kelly Swanson has a black guy working for him. They're gonna adhere to what Kelly Swanson says. So they're gonna listen to her. They're not gonna listen to him. He basically is talking to he wants people to be influenced by what he's doing, so he can get where he gets. This is what he's doing is number one, hustling. That's all he's doing is hustling. You know what I mean? I'm not saying he's pimping, but he's basically hustling to get things where he can get things easier for himself. That's all he's trying to stack the deck so things work in his favor. Because if you let's give an example, let's put Radio Raheem, who works for Kelly Swanson, right? He's like, yo, he ain't like me. Yeah, so you got the token black guy. You see what I'm saying? So it's not just a black guy. He's like, yo, he ain't the right black guy. So which one is it? Yo, is he doing his job? Is he good at his job? No, but I don't like that kind of black guy. I want a next black guy. All right, okay, all right. So let's put give you an example. Let's put Ben Umar in there. Let's put Ben Umar in there. Ben's fucking crazy. He's like, then he's like, no, he's too crazy. So I don't want that kind of black guy. He's too militant. He's too hardcore. See, so the thing to you, so what he's trying to say, he wants people that he can get along with, and who suits him. That's what this is about. It's about manipulation. That's all it is.
But what I'm saying is let's not if what he says is true, let's not overlook the importance of that.
No, I know diversity. I understand about diversity. I agree with you. But what point is this? Even if they had that, like, give another example. Andre Ward is mixed, and Andre Ward is on ESPN, but he doesn't agree with what Andre Ward is saying, so he comes in hard on Andre Ward. When Andre Ward was one of the most decorated pros of recent times.
And also Andre Ward defended his position very stoutly, very well.
But more than that, he's one of the most decorated, other than Floyd Mayweather, to finish his career undefeated. Maybe not as much accolades as Floyd, but look at when he talks to him, because Andre Ward is he's well spoken, he's very polite, and he would address it. Floyd wouldn't even give Fred the time of freaking day.
Floyd wouldn't give Fred the time of day, and I'm not sure that Floyd has Andre Ward's level of articulacy, but
he may have, but I feel like it's more to do with Andre Ward is more accessible, so it's easy to go at him and to get Andre Ward, who's very open to that. When Floyd is done, he's worth a lot more money, and Floyd has a lot of dangerous people might attack him, and he don't trust them mad people one bit. He don't trust them mad bit. So my whole thing is that this is all to do with manipulation, and like I understand about the diversity in cameras and thing, and he's probably right. He's probably right on spot on in terms of that. But even saying that, no one told you to go at Eddie Hearn. No one told you to go and attack Andre Ward, and no one told you to conduct yourself the way you've been conducting yourself. That therefore leads to these things for you to be in the situation you are. But I've been saying that people have done worse of things, and they still get over because they're affiliated with other people. So I guess I'm repeating myself.
Well, that's cool. That's cool. That's cool. We're coming to the end of the show. Coming up to the end of the show. And so I think ultimately, if I have to wrap it up, I'm saying that out of all, you see, the problem with the cult behavior, cult membership, cult mentality. The problem with that is that he makes out of all the nonsense that he said, he made one potentially good point. If what he says is accurate, and that is that Kelly Swanson does not have a racially diverse team, and that for me is a problem with these situations where you might have one black guy up front somewhere, but the rest of the whole team is one race. You know what I'm saying? The cameraman, the sound guy, the gaffer, the guy who runs around. They're all one race, and that like we've said multiple times throughout this podcast, throughout this show, is a problem. You know, it's a problem, and which I would like to see addressed. I don't like it. I gave you an example of a situation whereby people were looking to employ somebody who looked like everybody else in the office. And what can happen when you employ someone based on looks rather than quality? You know what I'm saying? And I think that's something that needs to be addressed. And that stems from the point of me watching another show, a big show. If it wasn't yesterday, it was the day before. And they had two members on two panelists on a 4-panel team. And two of those panelists were saying racism isn't real. Unfortunately, my friends, racism is a very, very real thing. People like Barbershop boxing, they use it as a tool to further themselves. So I can't support him. But like I said, in summary, there is one thing which he said, which if I adjust it to a rational person, I agree with. And that is, he never actually said this, but I think this is the thrust of his arguments. In a racially diverse area, a workplace should reflect the racial diversity of its area. And I think that is and the reason that oftentimes that doesn't happen is due directly to racism. And I think that I'm satisfied. And moreover, what I'm saying is I don't agree with that. That must change. If that happens and where that happens and when that happens, it results in societal inequality. Because like I told you before, I walked in for a job and the first thing the man said to me is, "Gosh, you're big. You're not violent, are you?" So if people are being barred from jobs due to racism, and that's what it is. That's why the guy said, "Gosh, you're big. You're not violent, are you?" It couldn't have been because of the way I was dressed. Because Raphie dress is fresh. I've dressed appropriately for the job. Yeah, it's an office job, so it's a collar and tie and freshly pressed, fresh to death. But yet he came out with that statement. So racial inequality in employment practices results in social inequality. And that is my final statement. I'm going to go around the panel. I'm going to go to Beeb first for your final statements, your thoughts, your observations, and then EJ Boxing. And then that is a wrap.
I live by the old saying, stimulate, do not annihilate. So say positive things, uplift, don't tear down. Don't subtract from others to try to add to yourself. That equation never works.
You're saying that to Fred, not me. Let's be clear.
Yes, 100%. Not you, my friend. Not you.
100% B, 100% EJ Boxing.
Yo, I'm just saying, like, I'll give a quote from the great and Dr. Henry Clark. Yeah. I only debate with my equals everyone else I teach, and I'd have to say to the guy Fred. Yeah. End of the day, end of the day, you've gone from a politician to a YouTube and done very successful, but end of the day, the avenues for you to be where you think you should be are not so easy. So end of the day, you got if you feel you don't need, and what Beef said is 100%. Trying to take away from Al Heyman. Al Heyman's had so many distractions ever since he started. He's been sued, and he's not gonna be worried about you. He's very single-minded. If you support Al Heyman, then fine. I support boxing. I support boxing. The people don't like the zone because Eddie Hearn's affiliated it. But end of the day, Eddie Hearn, if they're giving them good fights and people are getting their money worth, who am I to hate? You know what I mean? Who am I to hate people actually making money from boxing? And hopefully, like, I'm a boxing fan, so my whole thing is I try to stay away from them sort of things. I normally wouldn't watch that video, but that video kind of resonated to a lot of people. But I just saw it as a big complaint. I've seen him do this before, though. He actually complained about some other things. I think he was complaining about Adrian Broner. When Adrian Broner did, imagine this. Adrian Broner just lost one of his biggest fights. And Fred goes, yeah, you do. And Adrian Broner thought he won the fight. I think it was Sean Porter. And Fred went up to him and goes, yeah, you lost the fight. And Adrian Broner even wanted to kill him. He wanted literally to kill him. Then he made a video saying Adrian Broner smoking mirrors. You're not who you think you are. And he made a big thing about it. And I was like, hold on a minute. Why did he just lost the fight? And you're trying to say, yeah, I think you lost the fight. I was like, bruh, what do you think he was going to do? So it's the same thing in the situation. I don't know his relationship with Kelly Swanson, but something's went on and she's reacted. He feels like, go on to my YouTube channel and I'm an advocate for her to lose her job. So I'm just trying to say to you, power resides in people who have responsibility of the power. And as you can see, so that's why some people don't deserve to have power. I'm EJ Boxing Live, man. This is Raphie. Bring up the Raphie Combat Radio. And hey, listen, I ain't been around for a minute, but I hope you guys tune in all the time to Raphie and also Ringside and with Beeb, Ringside Report with Beeb. And listen, if you love boxing, support boxing, man. End of the day, you go to the channels or some of the channels that you resonate with, and just keep it boxing. That's what I'm saying, man.
100%. So I'm going to bring this thing to a close now. It's after midnight in the UK. Man's got work in the morning.
Wow.
Yeah. And so what can I say? What can I say other than thank you to EJ Boxing? Thank you to Habib. It's been due on for a long time, Habib. Finally, you made it over here, my friend.
It's been a while, huh?
It's been too long, bro. It's been too long. It's too long. Always a pleasure.
Yes.
Always a pleasure having you on, interacting with you. We found a happy place, Beeb. Remember?
Of course.
Remember when it used to be so combative? Remember?
Yeah, I was. You have to grow sometimes. You have to step outside yourself and you have to look at yourself. Yeah. And you got to be a little bit more diplomatic in the way you deliver things sometimes. And when I say you, I mean myself.
Yeah, but let's face facts. Sometimes you're on there and your people are coming at you and you're going to a kind of, I'm not saying you, I'm saying people in general. you know, a man on the mic and people are coming at you. People are coming at you, and you have to sometimes you have to draw the saber.
Yeah. You do.
Sometimes you have to draw the saber, and sometimes you might draw the saber by accidentally. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
That's how it goes sometimes. But school run in 10 minutes. Yeah, no problems, mate. Big Boys Boxing, no problems. Remember the Wednesday show. So I'm saying thank you to Beeb. Thank you, Beeb. I'm saying thank you to the chat. I'm saying to all the people who have not been here before, go ahead and smash that like button. Go ahead and smash that subscribe button. And remember, we have the live show Monday and Wednesdays at around 9:45 p.m. And of course, daily video uploads. Took the week off last night. Only uploaded a couple of videos. Well, last week, not last night. Only uploaded a couple of videos. Well, maybe 3, maybe 2 or 3. I don't know how many videos I uploaded last week. Maybe 2 or 3. Could have been more. Could have been up to 4. But to me, a guy who adds, catch it on the Big Boys Boxing is gonna catch it on the replay. Excellente. And ringside reporter says, thanks for having me on. Most definitely, always a pleasure sharing knowledge, views with Beeb from Ringside Reporter. Okay, so, and of course, Big Boys Boxing says he'll be there. He'll be here on Wednesday, 9:45 p.m. start, hopefully. Definitely will be up by 10 p.m. Yeah, so in conclusion, to the guys on that other show, 2 of the 4 panelists on that other show, not the channel, but negative reports about them in some respects, even though they do have a good show, they tend to be a little bit skewed sometimes in certain areas. And 2 of those guys saying that racism is not a real thing and does not exist. Well, I'm afraid to say, my dear fellows, my dear ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you with 100% certainty that racism exists probably in every country on earth, probably, and certainly exists in the US of A, and to a lesser extent it exists in the UK. I know that for sure, yeah. But importantly, you have to, I once read that a man is about as happy as he decides to be. Meaning that an individual, man, woman, chooses, to a large extent, they choose which way they want to be. Right here, let's get central. Let's get unbiased, central. There we go. Right here, we have a good mixture of, we have level-headed. Over there, we have sad, morose. Where am I going? And over here, we have the man, the woman who chooses, who makes the choice. They're going to be upbeat. They're going to be happy. They're going to be upbeat. I felt a little bit sluggish today. Even after work, I felt a little bit sluggish. I felt that something was missing. So I went for something which is very therapeutic and not enough people do. I went for a walk. Didn't use the car. Didn't want to use the bike, the push bike. I went for a 40-minute walk. And that made me feel good. I've been at work, but I hadn't, walking a 40 minutes. I believe in a walk. I believe in a walk, a continual walk, not walking for a little bit, stop it. I believe in a continual walk. I think it's therapeutic, physically therapeutic and mentally therapeutic. And so I went for a walk before the show. Went for a walk. It was dark. It was wet. I don't care. Got my headphones on. Not these, but some smaller ones. They hold the bass very well. Didn't listen to any of my CDs or whatever, MP3s or whatever. No. I went random. Yeah, that is true. That is true. There's racism everywhere, but people using it when it isn't an issue, when it does not pertain to what they're talking about, or is not germane to what they're talking about, is annoying. Yeah, and I think Fred did that. Fred did that. You know, it popped in my head the other day. I still haven't popped that bottle. I know exactly where it is, unless someone stole it. But I still haven't popped that bottle. I may do one day. The horny goat weed. We're talking about the horny goat weed. It's a long story. People who listen regularly will know the story about the horny goat weed. If not, ask me to tell you the story of the horny goat weed. Not now, in the comment section, not the permanent comment section. And I'll try to remember. Oh, yeah, I do remember. Okay, so therapeutic values, the therapeutic values and properties of walking, of exercise are not to be overlooked. There's no way you can tell me that someone who sits in their armchair all day, then drives to work. Well, not all day, but at night, then drives to work. No exercise, then drives back home. No exercise, and then sits in the armchair again. There's no way that you can tell me that person is optimal. They may feel okay. They may feel content, but there's no way they're optimal because they're probably eating bad. If you don't exercise, you're probably not concerned about your diet too much, so you're probably eating bad. So now you're not exercising, you're not eating good, so you're eating bad. If you're eating bad, bad foods make you fat quick. So now you're not exercising, you're eating bad foods, which make you fat quick or unhealthy. So you are no way optimal. You are in no way optimal. If you are not physically optimal, then that will have an effect on your mentality. You're not physically optimal. Mentally, you're going to be sluggish. Physically sluggish, mentally sluggish. I just felt that I have an active job, but I felt I needed a little bit more tonight. I felt that I need to go for a walk, even though it's dark, even though it's damp, cold. But if you got a nice coat on and a nice hat on and you're wearing gloves, you don't stay cold for long on a walk. I wasn't cold at all. At no point of it. It wasn't cold at all. I had my hood up, had my headphones on. Oh, and I selected music from a different playlist. Some SoundCloud. Just pick the genre, pick the time, the era, pick the genre, pick the era, boom. Yeah. Well, actually, I think diet comes first. Diet comes first because you can't out-train a bad diet. So diet comes first and then exercise on top of that. But I tell people in the gym, if you got a sloppy diet, exercise isn't going to cure that. It will help you. It will help counteract it to an extent. But I say, get your eating right at home. Make sure you got plenty of greens. Make sure you're eating plenty of unprocessed stuff. Not to say you're not going to ever eat processed stuff, but the more unprocessed the food, the better off you will be in general. So yeah, but exercise, even a walk. Walking is probably one of the best exercises you can do. An old lady walking a dog 20 out, 20. An old lady walking her dog 2 times a day probably gets more exercise than the average gym goer. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. An old lady, I'm going to say again, an old lady walking her dog twice a day probably gets more exercise than the average gym goer who's sitting down in between sets, chatting on their phone. That's why I see people going to a gym for a long time and they never seem to change because they're not actually doing much, some people. So an old lady walking a dog twice a day probably does get more exercise than the average gym goer. So that's why I say walking is king. Diet and walking. But even if you got a crap diet, it don't matter. Still get your walks in, which is difficult for people with cars. Because I notice in the wintertime, I just seem to focus on my car. You know, I don't seem to want to walk anywhere. In the summertime, I ride my bike, I walk, I ride my bike, I walk, I ride my bike, I walk. In the wintertime, it's just the car. So that's when my winter walks come into it. Winter's just hit. And yeah, winter walks now, daily thing. Gonna make it a daily thing. Winter walks. Okay, Big Boys Boxing says GTG, got to go. Never seen that before, but I figured it out. See y'all Wednesday, Thursday in New Zealand. Okay, so where are we? Exercise is king for sure. Absolutely. Well-being, mental effect, a simple walk. I mean, you know, it depends on where you are. I mean, if people get killed on your street, then don't do it. But go to a safe place. If you live in a safe place, where I just go for a walk. Well, even if you're not in a safe place, I mean, I don't know. You still got to go outside somehow. I don't know. Maybe by a skipping rope or something. But yeah. So ultimately, what I'm saying is that proper sleep is importante to 100%. I'm guilty of sometimes not getting proper sleep. Guilty as charged, but I'm working on it. Trying to get to bed earlier because I have to get up early. You know, it's very simple. So yeah, exercise, diet, sleep. Yeah, it's a big triangle. Exercise, diet, sleep. Exercise, good diet, sleep. And like I say, when I say exercise, that could just mean a nice walk every day. Very simple. Make it a habit. It's winter now. I tend to rely on my car. I tend to be in my car too much in the winter, so I will be going on my daily walks, at least 45 minutes, at least 40 minutes actually, at least minimum. So yeah, a man, woman is as happy as they decide to be. Obviously, finances. Make sure your finances are in order. Make sure you're spending as little as you have to. Don't go overspending. Yeah. Get your finances in order. Look at your diet. Fruit, vegetables. Walk. Walk and sleep well. So, how does this tie in with racism? Listen, man. I can go deep into racism, but at the end of it all, the numero uno is the mind. It don't matter what crap is going on around you, so long as you keep your mind right. A man is as happy as he makes his mind up to be. I firmly believe that. How do I feel? I am happy, mate. And I hope you are too. And here on Raphael Dawkins Combat Radio, we like to enhance people. So I like to say things that enhances people. And that last little bit of talk in there, that was for enhancement of you and me. Okay. So how long? Been on for a long time now. It's Raphael Dawkins. Thank you for joining me. Thank you to Phil Walker. Need to send you that link. Who else came on? The Beeb. Thank you for joining us. It's been a while. Don't leave it so long next time. Same with you, Phil. You're always welcome. Always good to have your input. Whenever you're available, always feel free to jump on. And of course, EJ Boxing. I haven't seen EJ around these parts in a while. Always good to have you on, bro. Your input is always appreciated. That accounts for all of you three guys. All you three guys, your input is always appreciated. It's always good to have different voices on the channel. You know, Raphael Dawkins Combat Radio, that's what we're all about. like the different voices, different opinions, varying opinions. This ain't no cult. People come on here and talk their talk, speak their truth, speak what they believe, as do I. Okay, so it's been a long goodbye. It's been a long goodbye. I've been saying goodbye for half an hour, but this is really it now. I'm kind of peckish. Gotta head into the kitchen, get that last supper in, do some final editing, and then that is me for the night. So we talked about one topic of my topic sheet. We're definitely coming back Wednesday. I might come back Tuesday because there's a lot to talk about. But for now, that is it. Much appreciation to everybody who came on the panel. Much appreciation, even more appreciation for the people who took time out of their day. Well, as much appreciation for the people who took time out of their day to come and participate, or just listen, or just watch and listen, or just listen. Got a lot of work to do over here at Raphael Dawkins Combat Radio. There's other areas I need to be streaming this shizzle too. We've only just begun to scratch the surface. Don't get it twisted. We've only just begun. This is a long process. There's a 10-year plan in place. Believe that. So it's Raphael Dawkins. It's the Combat Radio. It's the like. It's the subscribe. It's the comment. It's the shares. And it is the hitting that bell icon to stay updated with news and notifications. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter. And don't forget to check out the daily videos if you like that kind of thing. And don't forget that we are here on Mondays and Wednesdays. At least. Throw in the occasional bonus show. There's going to have to be a bonus show to get through all my topics. We only touched one topic, but it was a big topic tonight. And so, all that's left for me to say is peace and blessed.